Chapter 7:14. Chapter 7:14. Taking Back the City Boom. Wearing a silver battle armor, Yang Jian fiercely stabbed the demon cavalryman into the ground with his long lance beside his hand. In the air, Naja held the heaven and earth ring and the red armillary sash around him. Demon corpses piled up at his feet. Without Black Dragon guarding the city, Maple City's defense was as weak as paper. Under Yang Jian and Naja's lead, the Heavenly Court's army attacked from both inside and outside. Without losing a single soldier, they directly took over Maple City. Above the city, Yang and Li's flags fluttered in the wind. The demon soldiers in the city all fled in panic. A bunch of scum. Yang Jian curled his lips in disdain. At this moment, Go Yuzhan walked over with a rod in his hand. He glanced at the flags on the city and raised his eyebrows. "Why isn't my flag here?" "You?" Yang Jian, who was feeling smug, sized him up. After staying in the city for so long, he obviously knew who Go Yuzhan was. "What do you do? Why does your flag need to be here?" "Then what do you do? Why does your flag have to be here?" Go Yuzhan tilted his head, the ahog on his head swaying. "Go. I'm hungry after fighting for so long. Do you have anything to eat?" Go Yuzhan, who was just arguing about the flag, rubbed his stomach and ran to the side to find food. Yang Jian rolled his eyes speechlessly. He took out his phone and sent a message in the group. "I've already taken care of Maple City. Do you need my help?" Yang Jian was confident that the battle at Maple City was resolved quickly enough. He wanted to show his face in the group, but he didn't expect that, as soon as he sent the message, he saw a bunch of other messages. 100 Flowers City has regained control. Frost City has regained control. 100 Treasures City has regained control. All right, he thought he could take care of it the fastest, but it seemed like he was the last to take care of it. Retract. Yang Jian took back the message without thinking. He didn't want the people in the group to see such embarrassing news. Why did Yang Jian withdraw the news? "We've already taken care of things here. Do we need to send reinforcements to your side?" The one who sent the message was the Heavenly Court's God of Thunder. "There's no need for that. I still need your help here. I took back Maple City an hour ago." They didn't see the message just now. They definitely didn't see it. Yang Jian kept muttering in his heart, but his eyes were glued to the screen. "Your side is really fast. As expected of the #1 general of the Heavenly Court. Strong." This message was followed by a row of thumbs-up emojis. Puny demon race, not worth mentioning. It seemed that the people in the group didn't notice the message he just sent. Looking at the endless compliments on the screen, Yang Jian's vanity was very satisfied. He kept laughing in the group, as if he had really settled it an hour ago. But at this moment, beep. Suddenly, a picture was posted in the group. When Yang Jian saw the picture, his face turned green. "I've taken care of Maple City. Do you need my help?" The arrogant words and the picture at the front of the message. Wasn't that the message Yang Jian sent and then retracted? Looking at the person who sent the message, Monkey King, the atmosphere in the group became a little awkward. Yang Jian's expression kept changing. During this time, he thought of countless excuses, but when the message was sent to the group, it turned into, "Damn monkey, do you want to die? Hey my son. I haven't taught you a lesson for a few days and you've learned to lie. Looks like I, old son, have to find some time to teach you a lesson." This familiar tone appeared in the group. Yang Jian's eyes turned red. "Grandson, you haven't appeared in the group for half a year. I thought you died. Don't shoot your mouth off. Come fight me if you don't like it. Tisk tsk, you've become so arrogant in a few days. Looks like your skin is really tight. Let's set a place. If someone wants to get beaten up, I, old son, will never let them off. I'll be waiting for you in Maple City." These two really were at each other's throat. The Heavenly Court's people were fine, they were used to it. But the Underworld and Immortal Region's friends didn't know. Seeing that the two were really about to fight, They were all dumbfounded and didn't dare to say anything in the group. Fortunately, God of Thunder came to mediate. We haven't dealt with the external threat yet, let's not fight among ourselves. Once we clear the demons out of the 3 realms, you two can fight however you want. I definitely won't stop you. Count yourself lucky. Thunder God had given him a way out, so Yang Jian went with the flow. Of course, everyone knew that he was referring to the great sage. TSK, look at how nervous you are. Don't panic, there will always be a chance to get beaten up. Let's meet again later. Once the message came out, everyone in the group said a few words and let the matter pass. Then, Great Emperor Qingming sent a message in the group. We've taken back the city. Thank you for your help, brothers from the underworld and heavenly court. Please defend the city. The immortal region's people are preparing to retreat. To where? The people in the group were confused. To retrieve the ley line. My lord, what should we do now? The people from the 3 realms are still sending people to kill our people. The bald demon sovereign was rather nervous. The bald demon lord looked a little nervous. This was definitely not good news for the demon world. Black Dragon was already in a rather bad mood within the illusory formation. If she heard this news, she would vent her anger on him. Just let them chase, Black Dragon snorted. Black Dragon snorted indifferently, but he couldn't help but mutter inwardly. Could this be what he's after? Yi Zichen had used the ley line as bait to maintain the illusory formation in order to take back the city. Yi Zichen had truly made the wrong move by trapping the demon realm's strongest combatants here. Perhaps the demon realm is at a disadvantage, and the people from the 3 realms might lose some of their troop. But that doesn't affect the overall situation. The outcome of the battle was no longer a matter of numbers. The battle had already escalated to a fight between the top forces. As long as the emissary is here, so what if the 3 realms have more people? In the face of absolute strength, numbers won't change anything. Before he came here, he had already prepared for the worst. All of this was for the sake of snatching the dragon's vein. Everything will be worth it as long as I get the ley line. What I need to do now is to calm down and wait. Wait for the moment the illusory formation disappears. However, at that very moment, a golden light shot into the sky. Even the demons within the illusory formation were able to clearly see the true form of the golden light. Golden Dragon. The ley line. Great Emperor Yonghe's expression suddenly changed. Black Dragon's expression also changed when he heard Yonghe's exclamation, but he immediately reacted. Chapter 7:15. Brace yourself for a beating. The overflowing spiritual qi could be felt from far away, as well as the cultivation that had been stagnant for 10,000 years, but had begun to loosen in an instant. There was no mistaking it for a dragon vein. Only then did Black Dragon realize that Yi Zichen also cultivated the dragon race's secret scriptures. Was he fooled? As the commander of the devil world, he really didn't want to admit it, but the truth was right in front of him. He had no choice but to vent his fury on Yi Zichen. You actually dared to trick me. The enraged Black Dragon did not suppress the spiritual energy in his body, and the sudden release of spiritual energy even injured his subordinates. Yi Zichen couldn't help but raise his eyebrows when he sensed the disturbance within the formation. TSK. Being the head of the devil realm isn't for nothing, he thought to himself. That was what he thought, but he still had to trash talk. You're blaming others for your lack of intelligence? Do you think everyone is as retarded as you? Do you think I don't know that you have spies watching us? Did you really think that I would swagger around to take the dragon's vein? Wow, don't show off your intelligence, okay? Yi Zichen opened his mouth in an exaggerated manner. Of course, Black Dragon couldn't see his exaggerated expression. In order to make her think of him, Yi Zichen spared no effort in exaggerating his current appearance. Creak. He gritted his teeth. The city had been seized and the news of the dragon vein was fake. He was indignant. Very good. As expected of the Yellow Emperor's reincarnation. Look at what you're saying. So what if he's the reincarnation of the Yellow Emperor? Your IQ really isn't what it should be. You'd better maintain the illusion array. Otherwise what? You should know better than anyone. The black dragon gritted his teeth and cursed. This kind of threat had no deterrence at all. It was just like the vicious words of a child. It was too childish. Yi Zichen held his head in a relaxed manner and leaned against the huge rock. However, at that very moment, I can't hold on any longer. Fatty Yin, who had been maintaining the formation all this time, suddenly spoke up. He was indeed from the God realm, and his strength was at the Earth Supreme level. However, activating the 8 formation origin chart itself required a lot of spiritual energy, not to mention maintaining the illusory formation that trapped so many experts from the Devil world. Not to mention Earth Supremes, even Heavenly Supremes would run out of spiritual energy. As soon as Fatty Yin finished speaking, he stopped supplying spiritual energy to the 8 formation origin diagram. Without the supply of spirit energy, the spirit array would naturally lose its effect. Fatty, don't screw me over like that. Yi Zichen's eyelids twitched. The mist in the formation gradually dissipated, and Black Dragon and the others, who had been trapped in the illusory formation, gradually regained the detection range of heaven immortals. At this moment, Black Dragon suddenly wanted to laugh. Yes, that was it. He had been waiting for this moment. It's finally here. The Black Dragon gradually emerged from the fog, his entire face sinister and frightening. He tilted his head and looked ahead, but his gaze just so happened to fall on Yi Zichen, who was rushing into the depths of the valley. You know how to run now? It's too late. Boom. Boundless spiritual energy burst forth from Black Dragon's right foot, causing a deep crater to appear in the ground. Then, Black Dragon's entire body transformed into a beam of light and shot towards Yi Zichen. His heart was filled with rage that needed to be vented, and the only person he could vent it on was Yi Zichen. He's actually running towards the depths of the valley? Is he lost? Black Dragon couldn't help but sneer. He rapidly shortened the distance between him and Yi Zichen, and in the span of a few breaths, he was only 10-odd meters away from Yi Zichen. Whoosh! Yi Zichen, who'd been speeding forward the entire time, suddenly stopped. When Black Dragon saw him stop, he also stopped. This kid is extremely cunning. There's definitely something fishy about him stopping so suddenly. Why did you stop as well? Didn't you look like you were going to kill me just now? I'm standing right here, so why aren't you coming? There's definitely something wrong. When he saw Yi Zichen's fearless smile, Black Dragon felt like something was wrong. Just what is wrong? Black Dragon looked around cautiously, then scanned every single blade of grass and tree with his spiritual energy. Crap! He suddenly remembered that someone had already gone to retrieve the ley line. Yi Zichen was definitely luring him here to stall for time, and wait for someone on his side to retrieve the ley line. That definitely won't do. Black Dragon immediately turned around and ran back without any hesitation. That's strange, how did he find out? Yi Zichen scratched his head in confusion when he saw Black Dragon turn around. Logically speaking, he shouldn't have noticed it. Lori, do it. Got it. A baby's voice suddenly rang out from the cliffs of the canyon. Soon after, a beautiful figure emerged from the cliffs and threw a punch at the Black Dragon. Bang! Black Dragon raised his right arm out of reflex and blocked Lori's punch. Hiss! Even with Black Dragon's strength and the body of a demon, he still couldn't help but gasp after taking Lori's punch. This girl's strength was extraordinarily strong. This is a bit troublesome. Black Dragon stared intently at the two of them, but did not immediately choose to break through. Time slowly ticked by. What's going on? Why aren't his people here? Although he didn't wait for his subordinates, they should have caught up after so much time had passed. Yi Zichen could guess what Black Dragon was waiting for when he saw Black Dragon's flickering gaze. He couldn't help but twitch his mouth. You want to wait for your people? They shouldn't be able to come over, right? Black Dragon raised his eyebrows. Can't come over? There was a fatty without spiritual power at the position just now. Could it be that there were other helpers at the position just now? The demon sovereigns under him were all at the peak of the demon realm. The three realms would have to send out plenty of elites to stop them all. But if they sent elites to surround them, then the city wouldn't be so easily breached. What did I miss out on? Could that fatty's lack of spiritual energy have been an act? Impossible. Spiritual energy exhaustion can't be an act. Black Dragon couldn't understand. I didn't expect you to bring so many people, Yi Zichen snorted. That was the only explanation he could come up with. Black Dragon snorted with a dark expression. Yi Zichen merely shrugged. Are you blind? There are only 3 of us here. Don't you know how to count? You can't be trying to tell me that the fatty can stop all of the demon realm's elites? Black Dragon asked. Yi Zichen shrugged noncommittally. Black Dragon naturally did not believe Yi Zichen's answer, but he was not in the mood to argue with him. He merely glanced at Lori and Yi Zichen. Does that mean you two want to stall me? Black Dragon admitted that Lori was a bit of a threat, but it was only a bit. In response, Yi Zichen shrugged noncommittally. Chapter 7:16. Consecutive breakthroughs. A resonant dragon roar resounded through the sky. A faint golden dragon shadow coiled in the sky. The moment the dragon shadow appeared, streams of overflowing spiritual energy were released from its body and spread into the surroundings. The dragon vein was the lifeline of the 3 realms. Its appearance instantly raised the spiritual energy density of the 3 realms by a level. Of course, the one who benefited the most was Maple City, which was closest to the dragon vein. Sitting in the city, Yang Jian put down the braised pork knuckle in his hand. He naturally wouldn't cultivate while enjoying the food, but he could feel his spiritual energy rising non-stop. Boom. Breakthrough. In just a few breaths of time, he, who had just reached the advanced heavenly immortal stage, broke through to the full circle of the heavenly immortal stage. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. Boom, boom, boom. More and more heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals broke through. From time to time, beams of golden light would appear throughout Maple City. Even though it seemed unbelievable, some heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals still seized the opportunity to sit cross-legged on the ground. They circulated their spiritual energy incantations, either to consolidate or to break through to the position they wanted to reach. Neza. Glancing to the side, Yang Jian realized that Neza was still eating. He reached out and knocked the pork knuckle out of his hand, frowning. Eat, eat, eat. All you do is eat. Don't you think it's a little strange? Strange? Neza looked at him suspiciously. Just then, he burped. Boom. He broke through. Full stage sky immortal. How can this be? How did I break through? Neza licked his fingers, his eyes narrowing into slits. Dad can't beat me now. Let's see how he's going to beat me up if I eat secretly at home. Why do you only know how to eat? Yang Jian rolled his eyes. Don't you think about why so many of us broke through? Many people broke through. Neza looked around and realized that a dazzling golden light would appear in the city from time to time. You're right. Why did so many people break through? I'm not asking you. Yang Jian stomped his feet in anger. Even though he didn't want to admit it, he knew that he was a little stubborn. He really couldn't explain why so many people had broken through all of a sudden. They must have found the dragon vein. Why do we care so much? We just had a fight earlier, so I'm hungry. Neza rubbed his stomach, only to realize that Goyu, who was sitting at the same table with them, didn't even raise his head. He kept stuffing food into his mouth. Leave some for me. As he spoke, Neza also lowered his head and stuffed food into his mouth. From time to time, he would glance at Goyujan, as if the two of them were competing over who was better at eating. Dragon vein? In response, Yang Jian shook his head. Although he was the war god of the heavenly court, his immortal position was very high. However, at the end of the day, He was not a veteran immortal in the heavenly courts. He did not know the value and effects of the dragon's vein. Forget it, it doesn't matter anymore. He couldn't figure it out even if he thought about it, and he couldn't be bothered to think about it. If he had the time, he might as well fill his stomach. However, when he was about to eat, he realized that there were only a few bones left on the table. Are you two pigs? Black Dragon, who was surrounded by Yi Zichen and Lori, had a dark look in his eyes. He squinted his eyes at the two people in front and behind him, then decided to use Yi Zichen as a breakthrough point. Ziz, it seems like you want to use me as a breakthrough point. There was no way Yi Zichen wouldn't notice the invasive gaze. Yi Zichen shrugged with a smile, then hooked his finger at Black Dragon. Come. Black Dragon wasn't stupid enough to go up just because Yi Zichen said so. Right now, it was 1 against 2. The girl behind him was smiling innocently, but her strength gave him a sense of oppression. What's more, her strength was on par with an adult abyssal. Roar! All of a sudden, a golden dragon's roar sounded out in the sky. Black Dragon, who had been thinking about how to escape from the encirclement of the two, instantly grew anxious. I can't waste time with them here. Black Dragon clenched his teeth, then suddenly knelt down on one knee. What's going on? Yi Zichen was shocked. Was he going to bow down to them? Don't. Before Yi Zichen could finish, he heard Black Dragon say solemnly, Welcome, Special Envoy. Special Envoy. Yi Zichen, who was facing Black Dragon, felt the hairs on his back stand on end. His heart clenched, and he almost instinctively summoned his swirling flash armor and blood aura battle armor. At the same time, he suddenly turned his head around and looked around nervously. Ha! Black Dragon smiled strangely, but in the blink of an eye, he unleashed all the spiritual energy he'd been accumulating and stabbed at Yi Zichen's back. No one. He'd been tricked. When Yi Zichen confirmed that there was no one around, he immediately realized that Black Dragon had just been teasing him. Yi Zichen, watch out! Lori giggled and shouted. Yi Zichen wanted to dodge, but it was too late. Cough. Fortunately, he had 2 layers of battle armor to protect him, so Black Dragon's attack hadn't pierced through his body. However, the aftershocks of the spiritual energy still caused his blood to roil. He tasted sweetness in his throat and couldn't help but cough up a mouthful of blood. He'd been too careless. The special envoy had clearly sent people to intercept him. How could he possibly have run over here? At the end of the day, this envoy, a half-step diviner, had put too much pressure on him. He hadn't even realized it was all a trick. I'll take your life while you're down. Black Dragon's claws suddenly transformed into sharp claws, and black scales appeared on his arms and face. Die! Scram! Thud! Little Lori kicked Black Dragon in the back, causing him to stumble. Yi Zichen quickly rolled to the side and reached out with his right hand. Xianyuan. Buzz. The Xianyuan sword slowly emerged from between his eyebrows, surrounded by flowing light. He reached out and grabbed the hilt. Fierce winds howled past, sweeping up the surrounding sand and stones. That was your only chance just now. Yi Zichen hefted the Xianyuan sword and smiled calmly. I have to say, you're quite good at seizing opportunities, but you'll still have to stay here. Sword slash swept the 8 directions. Hundreds of beams of sword energy condensed in the air and slammed into Black Dragon. A muffled groan escaped from Black Dragon's nostrils. The intense pain in his body had already caused his eyes to redden. When he felt the sword energy disappear, he looked up, however. He noticed that a several-meter-tall beam of sword energy had already appeared in front of him. It had locked onto him with a terrifying sharpness. Danger. Black Dragon could clearly feel the danger that caused his heart to tremble. He didn't even have any desire to resist. He had only felt this from the white-robed man. Impossible. How could Yi Zichen have this kind of strength? He roared in his heart like a madman, but Yi Zichen was in no mood to care about his emotions. It's all over. Fall. Chapter 717. Primordial Dragon. The sharp sword chi mixed with the surrounding spiritual energy completely locked onto the Black Dragon. Black Dragon could see that the sword energy was getting closer and closer to him the moment he opened his eyes. There was nothing else in his eyes. All he could think about was how to survive the sword energy. Screw it! Crack! Black Dragon bit his lips, causing purplish-red blood to flow down his lip. His finger brushed past his lips, and his blood-stained finger continued to draw strange runes on his chest. Come out! A spiritual formation appeared on Black Dragon's chest. Not long later, a claw covered in dragon scales reached out of the formation. This, Yi Zichen was also shocked. The thing that came out of Black Dragon's chest was a huge black dragon. He actually had a dragon in his body. The huge dragon's body was extremely huge, causing the valley to seem abnormally crowded with him. The sword energy that was several meters tall seemed so insignificant in front of him. Just as the sword energy was about to land on him, slap! Black Dragon flapped his powerful wings, causing the sword energy to deviate from its original trajectory and land on the cliff of the valley. Boom! An explosion sounded out. Huge rocks fell down and kicked up a sandstorm. Yi Zichen pulled Lori into his arms, while continuously chopping the rocks into pieces with Xianyuan's sword. At the same time, he checked out the huge black dragon in front of him vigilantly. The dragon race isn't enemies with the demon race, so why is it helping the demon race? I survived. Black Dragon had already determined that Yi Zichen would not be able to survive the sword energy, so he had no choice but to use his trump card. Primordial Dragon. It was an existence that existed during the Great War of Gods and Demons. Yi Zichen was only able to obtain this primordial dragon by chance. 10,000 years ago, he discovered this black dragon when he was exploring an ancient cave. At that time, the black dragon was already on the verge of death. Yi Zichen used up most of the demon race's resources to save it, and obtained a promise from it. It was to satisfy any one of his requests. This had always been his trump card. He had thought that he would only use it after he ascended to the upper three realms. This was a primordial dragon that could fight against half-step rulers, yet, he actually used it here. It's all this guy's fault. I should have just killed him when I caught him in the devil race. As the black dragon thought viciously, he heard the giant dragon he had summoned speak. Devil, what's your request? Black Dragon's voice was very deep. Black Dragon looked up at the black dragon that was looking down at him, then clenched his teeth and pointed at Yi Zichen, who was standing in front of Lori. I want him dead, no, I want them all dead. Upon hearing the request, the black dragon turned its head around. Being stared at by such a huge creature, it was impossible to say that one's heart did not tremble. Yi Zichen repeatedly calmed his nerves, then gnashed his teeth in anger. You're obviously a member of the Dragon Clan. Why are you colluding with the Devil Clan? Have you forgotten how many of your Dragon Clan compatriots were slaughtered by the Devil Clan during the Great War of Gods and Devils? The black dragon's eyelids twitched, and he let out a rough breath. It was just a simple breath, but it was like a level 7 or 8 gale to Yi Zichen and company. Young man, you actually know about the Great War of Gods and Demons? Why wouldn't I know? The Demon Clan is cruel in nature, and hunted the clansmen of all races without restraint. In order to overthrow the Demon Clan's rule, the Dragon Clan signed a contract with the God Clan. From the looks of it, you should be a primordial dragon as well, and participated in the Great War of Gods and Demons. Why are you colluding with your former enemies? Yi Zichen had learned all of these secrets from the old dragon god. Of course, he didn't purposely ask, it was just that the old dragon god would accidentally mention it when he was reminiscing about the past. However, he only said a few words, then shook his head in silence. However, Yi Zichen was able to sort out the bits of information he had, and roughly understand the situation. You do know a lot. The black dragon looked forward. The black dragon stretched its body forward and said, I smell a familiar scent on you. Yi Zichen did not say anything more, and directly activated the Dragon Clan's secret scripture, causing a mirage of a dragon to appear behind him. The Dragon Clan's secret scripture? You're a member of the Dragon Clan? You don't look like it. The Dragon Clan wouldn't have a body as weak as yours. Even saying that the girl is a member of the Dragon Clan is more believable than you. Black Dragon shook his head with a smile. I'm not a member of the Dragon Clan. I merely obtained the Dragon God Ring by chance, and cultivated the Dragon Clan's secret scripture for a period of time under the old Dragon God, said Yi Zichen. You actually know that old guy? The Black Dragon stood up, causing Yi Zichen to feel extremely nervous the moment he stood up. A primordial dragon. That person is definitely ridiculously strong. What's more, the sword energy I used just now was merely a flap of his wings. This should be the territory of the Demon Clan. It seems like the God Clan won back then, and the people living here are all descendants of the God Clan. But that's strange. I, this old dragon, have appeared for so long, but the laws aren't rejecting me. The laws. Standing behind the dragon, Black Dragon suddenly recalled the scene of the white-robed man fighting the master of the laws. Could it be impossible? Black Dragon shook his head intensely, then turned to the Black Dragon. Senior, when can you kill him? Black Dragon shook his head intensely, then turned to the Black Dragon. He didn't have that much time to waste here. He still had to get the ley line. I almost forgot about your request. Little fellow, since you have a bit of a relationship with that old thing, then I won't make things difficult for you. Use your full strength. If you can push me back a step, I'll leave this place. The Black Dragon glanced at the Black Dragon faintly. In an instant, the Black Dragon did not dare to speak. It was all right. This was a primordial dragon. Not even the supreme experts of the god race could shake it. There was no way Yi Zichen could repel it. Are you sure you want to ally with the demons? Yi Zichen frowned. There's no such thing as companionship. So many years have passed, and the hatred towards the demon race has long since faded. Back then, the demon race did hunt down many of our people, but did the god race hunt less? The Black Dragon glanced at Xinyuan's sword in Yi Zichen's hand, then snorted with a deep gaze. Chapter 7:18. Acting unreasonable, Yi Zichen seemed extremely insignificant in front of the Black Dragon. He looked straight ahead, while his emotions turned even more solemn. This is simply impossible. Forcing the dragon back a step with his full strength might seem like the dragon made a huge concession, but how could Yi Zichen deal with an existence of that level with his current strength? Black Dragon smiled. He seemed to have already imagined the scene of Yi Zichen becoming the dragon's meal. Young man, don't waste time. Just then, the giant dragon breathed heavily through its nostrils again. The wind blew up the rocks in the valley. Yi Zichen clenched his fist and stepped forward. Not bad. The dragon on the ground raised his eyebrows and nodded silently. Yi Zichen still didn't give up on his last sliver of hope. He didn't allow himself to be beaten down by this desperate situation and begged for mercy, very satisfied. Although Lori was pure, she wasn't stupid. She knew full well that the current situation wasn't looking good. As Yi Zichen resolutely stepped forward, she grew increasingly nervous. As for Black Dragon, he snickered. What's the point of trying to be a hero now? I might as well just surrender. However, what they didn't expect was bang. Old senior, you can't screw me over like this. My relationship with you dragons goes way back. Your old dragon god counts as half a master to me. A master for a day is a father for life. Half a master is half a father. From the looks of it, you're the old dragon god's brother, so I count as half a nephew to you. Yi Zichen, who had a resolute expression as if he was facing death calmly, suddenly fell onto the old dragon god's front leg. He hugged the thick thigh with all his might, shouting himself hoarse and crying bitterly. Old senior, I have a really good relationship with the dragon race. Especially when I returned the dragon god ring to you, the entire dragon race treated me like an important guest. There's a golden dragon girl in your race, and she's a really good friend of mine. If you really let me eat you, then the entire dragon race will be unhappy. What the hell? Almost at the same time, a bunch of question marks appeared in the heads of the three people present. Lori, who was worried about Yi Zichen, turned her head to the side. She didn't want to see such an ugly scene. This was too embarrassing. It was the same for the dragon that was lying on the ground with a look of admiration in its eyes. Fine, I'll pretend that I didn't think of anything just now. Senior. Yi Zichen sobbed, then wiped his snot and tears onto the dragon's leg. The giant dragon frowned, raised its leg, and flung him to the side. It said in a muffled voice, "Old dragon, I've already given you a chance. As long as I push you back a step, you will leave this place, right?" When Yi Zichen saw the dragon nod, he immediately sat on the ground and shook his head. "That won't do. It's not fair at all. Ask your conscience what your strength is. Think about what my strength is. Let's not talk about strength. Let's talk about your weight. How many tons does it weigh? Even if I die of exhaustion, I won't be able to move you." How dare he make a scene? Right now, Shaoyuli really wanted to pretend that she didn't know him. This was too embarrassing. Even if it was for survival, he couldn't throw away his dignity and face. If Yi Zichen heard this, he would definitely retort. "How much is face worth? Do you care about your life or face?" The giant dragon in front of Yi Zichen also paused. After a long while, he crawled in front of Yi Zichen. He stared at Yi Zichen with two basketball-sized eyes, then exhaled. "This old dragon never falls for that. This old dragon has never fallen for such tricks. If you don't need this opportunity, this old dragon will just eat you up." Black Dragon, who was not far away, panicked. "Senior, you," Black Dragon said anxiously. "If you're in a hurry, then leave," said the giant dragon. Hearing that, Black Dragon couldn't help but retort, "I do want to leave." At that moment, he was thinking about the ley line, but he had to see the giant dragon fulfill his promise with his own eyes. Otherwise, who knows if the giant dragon would let Yi Zichen and company go after he leaves. Then he would still be bothered by Yi Zichen, and he would lose his trump card. After thinking about it, he decided to stay and witness everything with his own eyes. "No, I'll just stay here." Black Dragon shook his head. "Then stop bullshitting." The dragon glared at him, then turned to Yi Zichen. "Little fellow, you too. What this old dragon lacks the most is patience. If you try to be unreasonable with me, then don't blame me for not considering our past relationship. It seems like there's no chance for me to be unreasonable anymore." Yi Zichen twitched his mouth, then patted the dust off his body and stood up. At the same time, he couldn't help but roll his eyes at Black Dragon. "Look at how petty you are. No wonder you didn't become the dragon god back then. You brat." The giant dragon raised his front claw. Yi Zichen didn't even look at him, and merely waved his arm as he warmed up, while controlling the surrounding spiritual energy. Heh! The giant dragon was furious after being mocked by Yi Zichen. He had wanted to go easy on Yi Zichen, but now he decided not to. If Yi Zichen knew, then he would definitely slap himself. "What the hell are you talking about, idiot? Comrade Old Dragon, don't blame me for not giving you a chance. I didn't punch you because I was afraid of hurting you. You are a living fossil, being able to live from the primordial era until now. I wanted you to be a complete relic, but you just wouldn't listen. If I cripple you or injure you later, don't blame me." Yi Zichen clenched his fist in disdain. Hearing that, the giant dragon laughed. "Come, don't say that I'm bullying you. I'll give you 3 chances. Then I'm coming." Yi Zichen's expression darkened, while the spiritual energy on his fist became denser. At that very moment, look, a gray plane. Yi Zichen, who was about to attack, suddenly pointed towards the sky. Although the old dragon didn't know what a gray plane was, he still couldn't help but look back. Seeing the giant dragon let down his guard, Yi Zichen took the chance and punched him in the chest. Dong! A huge explosion sounded out from the valley. The giant dragon didn't even move after the punch, while Yi Zichen jumped around with his arms crossed. What the hell? This skin is too hard. At that moment, the giant dragon also turned around. He naturally knew that he was tricked by Yi Zichen. However, he wasn't annoyed. In this sort of impossible situation, it was natural for him to be smart. You have 2 more chances, the giant dragon said. Yi Zichen swung his aching arm, then took a step back. It was truly an impossible task to shake this old dragon. Xian Yuan. Buzz, Xian Yuan Xiang directly materialized and appeared beside Yi Zichen. The 2 of them had worked together for a long time, and they already had some sort of chemistry. Xian Yuan Xiang immediately knew what she had to do when she saw Yi Zichen's gaze. Charge up. Even though the chance was slim, Yi Zichen had to grab it. Back off. Yi Zichen clenched his fist and charged forward. The giant dragon maintained a calm expression the entire time, but the moment Yi Zichen's fist was about to reach him. Chapter 719. The new master of the laws. The gigantic dragon suddenly shrunk like a deflated balloon. Within a few tens of seconds, he turned into a dragon that was around 7 to 8 meters long. Although it was still huge in size, it paled in comparison to the behemoth that had blocked almost the entire canyon. Acrobatics. Even Yi Zichen, who was charging forward, slowed down when he saw this strange scene. However, he wasn't stupid enough to actually stop. His first spurt of energy would weaken, and he would be exhausted. If he stopped now, then he would have given up this chance for nothing. Dong. The fist struck the lower jaw of the huge dragon. The huge dragon that was standing in the canyon suddenly trembled when it felt the impact of the punch. Bang. He fell back. The dragon caused a huge gust of wind to blow. Everyone was shocked when they saw him fall. He fell. Yi Zichen looked at his own fist in shock. Am I actually this strong? I actually defeated a primordial dragon? Seeing this scene, little Lori jumped over in surprise and danced with joy. Impossible! The moment the black dragon saw the giant dragon fall, he shook his head vigorously to express his disbelief. A primordial dragon at least has the strength of a saint. How could he lose to someone like Yi Zichen, who hasn't even reached the immortal king level? Shady business. The dragon must have done it on purpose. At that moment, the dragon also slowly stood up. He was stunned the moment he fell. However, what confused him even more was his strength in that instant. His strength was suddenly suppressed to the level of a half-step supreme, which was the level of an immortal king. This caused his body to shrink. While he was shocked, he didn't pay any attention to Yi Zichen's punch, causing him to fall to the ground after losing his balance. Hey, I won, right? Yi Zichen said. Although he didn't want to admit defeat, he did say that he lost if he took a step back. He didn't even take a step back. He just fell to the ground. You won, Yi Zichen nodded. Hearing that, Yi Zichen smiled. Then what are you blanking out for? Hurry up and leave. You don't need to stay here anymore. God knows what happened just now to actually let Yi Zichen win. This guy is a threat if he stays here. Hurry up and make him leave, then Yi Zichen and company can go and bully the Black Dragon. You did it on purpose. Black Dragon glared at the colossal dragon. That's right. There is indeed a rift between my demon race and your dragon race. But you have to know that I spared no effort to save your life. As a member of the primordial dragon clan and a senior from the ancient times, shouldn't you keep your promise? One could tell from his scarlet eyes just how unwilling he was to accept this outcome. This was his final trump card, a trump card obtained with a large amount of resources from the devil race, but in exchange for such a result, he refused to accept this. You might not believe me, but I've never gone easy on you or done it on purpose. Just now, there was a sudden force that suppressed my strength to around the perfected Immortal King stage. Even if you are an Immortal King, Yi Zichen only has the strength of a Sky Immortal. That is indeed my fault, the colossal dragon nodded apologetically. The giant dragon nodded apologetically. This power came too suddenly, causing me to lose focus. I didn't pay attention to his attack just now. I'm very sorry about that, but the colossal dragon's gaze turned sharp. I hate your arrogant tone. I really hate your arrogant tone. Just now, when I appeared and helped you block that sword chi, I already saved your life. Moreover, I've been in your body for so long, helping you consolidate your strength and providing you with secret techniques. Demon, don't be too greedy. The threatening words caused Black Dragon to pause for a moment, but at the same time, he gradually regained his senses. The person in front of me is a primordial dragon, not my subordinate or servant. The colossal dragon snorted and took 2 steps forward, then looked down at Yi Zichen in confusion. Young man, just what kind of move did you use? You actually suppressed my strength so much. Yi Zichen was stunned. I didn't do anything. I merely summoned Xianyuan Xiang to buff me. Yi Zichen, you're really doing terrible here. What would you have done if Big Sister didn't take up her post in time? A crisp laughter sounded out in the sky. For some reason, the laughter felt rather familiar. Yi Zichen glanced up and saw a girl in a sailor outfit standing in the sky and winking at him. Lin Ru. It was Old Man Lin's doing when the modern realm was sealed in ice. That was when Yi Zichen managed to guess the identity of the modern realm's Lin family. They might be the modern realm's masters of the law. I didn't expect that damned girl, Lin Ru, to actually come over to the 3 realms? Take up her post. Did she become a master of the law here? Then what's up with the previous one? Ziziz, at least you have some conscience. You didn't forget about me. Lin Ru pursed her lips and smiled like she was above everyone else. Yi Zichen ignored her and pointed at her skirt. You're completely exposed. You're completely exposed, my Miss Lin. T-string pants, it's very romantic. Zoom. Lin Ru blushed. She clenched her teeth and summoned a cloud under her feet, then floated down and glared fiercely at Yi Zichen. Then, she looked at Lori, who was beside Yi Zichen, and the disgust in her eyes intensified. You still haven't changed your philandering ways. I really feel like Susu isn't worth it. I should have taken up my post later and let him eat you up. Lin Ru rolled her eyes at Yi Zichen, then walked in front of the dragon with a smile. Hello, I am the new master of the law. Hello, I'm the newly appointed master of the laws. The laws here can only allow me to unleash my strength up to the Great Circle Immortal King realm. Your strength has already exceeded the limits of this place, so I can only suppress your strength. So it's the master of the law. The dragon was not surprised at all when he heard Lin Ru mention the master of the law. It was obvious that the dragon had seen some masters of the law before and knew of their existence. Master of the law is too courteous. It was this old dragon who broke the rules. Since I know the reason for the suppression, then this old dragon won't stay here any longer. Are you going back to the dragon race? I can send you back directly. That's great. The dragon raised his eyebrows and smiled. The giant dragon raised his eyebrows and smiled. Lin Ru nodded and patted his body. Suddenly, they disappeared from the canyon. Master of the law, you look pretty cool, huh? Yi Zichen looked Lin Ru up and down. But what kind of weird hobby is this? Why are you wearing a uniform? What? There are unwritten rules in your circle as well? Did you just seduce your boss? Do you want to die? Lin Ru clenched her teeth. Black Dragon carefully observed the situation. A new master of the law has arrived. It seems like the previous master of the law has already been killed. I didn't expect the white-robed man to be so strong. But now that the new master of the law knows Yi Zichen, the situation is rather troublesome. Chapter 720. Condition Run. Where there's life, there's hope. What fight for the 3 realms? Your king is back. At that moment it was all nonsense. Even the master of the laws knew Yi Zichen. So what if Black Dragon had 10,000 tricks up his sleeves? The primordial dragon was the best example. He was an existence comparable to a ruler, yet the girl had suppressed him to the level of an immortal king. God knew if she had any other tricks up her sleeves. If she continued to tangle with them here, his logic told him that nothing good would come out of it. Now, Black Dragon, who was hiding on the side, immediately turned around and ran out of the valley without any hesitation. Lori chased after him with a giggle. Yi Zichen, who was chatting with Linru, also gestured towards Black Dragon's fleeing figure. That guy's a demon. You should know about the demons, right? They're bad people. I know. Linru nodded expressionlessly, but did not do anything. Yi Zichen, who had wanted Linru to capture Black Dragon, couldn't help but raise his eyebrows when he saw that she didn't react. Then what are you blanking out for? Go and capture him. Why do I have to get involved? Linru tilted her head. Hey, don't be so heartless. Weren't we friends back then? Hurry up and stop throwing a tantrum. Capture him, said Yi Zichen. I can't be bothered with you. Linru rolled her eyes. A cloud rose from beneath her feet and pulled her into the air. I'm the master of the laws here, and I'm only carrying out the duties of a master of the laws. As for your fight, I'm sorry, but I can't keep you company. Seriously? Yi Zichen couldn't help but retort, then walked over and raised his eyebrows. You really can't help? I can't. Linru refused without any room for negotiation. Then why didn't you say so earlier? He already ran so far away. Go to the side and stay out of my way. Yi Zichen knew that she wouldn't help, so he chased after Black Dragon without any hesitation. Linru was momentarily stunned by his rapid change in attitude, but she couldn't help but shake her head with a smile. It's still him. Why are you still running at this time? Where can you run? Yi Zichen descended from the sky. He glanced at Black Dragon, who was trapped by Fatty Een and Lori, then at the demon sovereigns, who were squatting in the corner. Well done. These words were clearly directed at Fatty Een. He raised his head and smiled proudly, then glared at the group of demon sovereigns. The demon sovereigns who were squatting in the corner all lowered their heads subconsciously. God knows what they had experienced. Black Dragon was also shocked. He knew that it was impossible for him to escape by himself, so he deliberately ran here to meet up with his subordinate. However, he had never imagined that his subordinates would be like this when he arrived. In terms of numbers, they had the absolute advantage. Why couldn't they deal with the fatty, who didn't have any spiritual power at that time? Of course, there was no need to fuss over this now. Let's negotiate. Black Dragon took a deep breath, suppressed his emotions, and looked at Yi Zichen with a frown. Yi Zichen, it's my loss this time. State your conditions. You're not going to try and resist? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. There's no need, said the Black Dragon. I underestimated you. I didn't expect you to grow so quickly. Back then, I could almost play with you like an ant, but now you have grown to such a height. Facing the current you, I don't have full confidence. Moreover, you have the help of this little girl and this array master, so I have no reason to resist. Yi Zichen was taken aback by such a straightforward answer, but it wasn't as if he couldn't understand. State your conditions, said the Black Dragon. Name a condition? Yi Zichen pursed his lips into a smile, then swept his gaze over the demon sovereigns and Black Dragon. He would never forget the panic the demon race caused when they attacked the immortal domain, as well as great Emperor Yonghe. It was precisely his betrayal that caused countless ordinary people in immortal domain to die. Conditions? How could this kind of hatred be resolved so easily? I think we can definitely talk about it. The moment Yi Zichen opened his mouth, Black Dragon interrupted him and pointed at great Emperor Yonghe. That's right. You probably want him, right? I can give him to you. Actually, think about it, we demons shouldn't have too much of a conflict with you. After we came, we didn't kill or pillage anything, and just stayed within the city. That really isn't like you. Yi Zichen couldn't help but snicker when he sensed the desperation in the Black Dragon's tone. Did you forget your ambitions from back then, as the Demon Realm's commander? You actually want to give up a pawn to protect yourself? That's not like you at all. There's no other way. Black Dragon didn't show any emotions. Black Dragon's expression did not change at all. He was the weaker party right now. Yonghe, did you hear that? Your new master wants to give up on you. Yi Zichen pursed his lips with a smile. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and smiled. Yonghe merely looked up for a moment, then lowered his head. He didn't show any anger, nor did he curse out of humiliation. He knew very well that it was a risk he should have taken. He chose to work with the demons in order to protect himself, so he had to bear the risk of being abandoned after the demons lost. However, he didn't think that it would happen so suddenly and so quickly. You must be very disappointed, right? The 3 realms that you didn't trust back then actually managed to scare the demons, Yi Zichen snickered. Even though Yonghe appeared calm, he couldn't help but smile wryly in his heart. I really didn't expect that. The 3 realms that I didn't have high hopes for would actually make a comeback, and it was through the reincarnation of the Yellow Emperor. Yi Zichen, if you can let us demons leave, I can hand over all the people that betrayed you. I can hand over all the people who betrayed you, and I will even give you enough resources to satisfy you. I promise not to invade. No, never invade the 3 realms for the next 10,000 years. That's rather tempting, Yi Zichen nodded with a smile. Hearing that, Black Dragon's expression darkened. Rather tempting? That means that I'm not truly tempted. Then what do you want? Black Dragon asked. Don't be too greedy. Ziziz, as expected of the Demon Realm's commander. You can actually threaten me at a time like this? Yi Zichen squinted his eyes, then snapped his fingers. Chapter 721. The Vanished Dragon's Vein. This is the Dragon's Vein. Bathing in the holy light, great Emperor Qingming's eyes were filled with unconcealable shock. In terms of experience, he could only be considered a rising force among the upper echelons of the immortal region. He had never experienced the era of the Dragon's Vein. When it appeared, he could only feel the abundant spiritual energy it brought him. He suddenly felt that he had lived his life in vain. In such a short time, he had already reached the half-step Immortal King level. He was confident that it was only a matter of time before he became an Immortal King. The appearance of the Dragon's Vein affected everyone in the Immortal region. Too powerful. That was all the great Emperor Qingming could say in his days. To be honest, even he. For a moment, he wanted to take the Dragon's Vein for himself. However, he discarded the thought as soon as it appeared. His body continued to greedily absorb the pure and abundant spiritual energy of the Dragon's Vein. A whole 2 hours had passed. He didn't think that time would pass so quickly. In his mind, he had only closed his eyes, and such a long time had passed. He couldn't go on like this. He couldn't forget his purpose for coming here for his own selfish desires. Forcing himself to throw the greedy thoughts to the back of his mind, great Emperor Qingming said to Flame Emperor. Big brother Flame Emperor? Have you had enough? Flame Emperor chuckled. Great Emperor Qingming blushed. He knew that he had lost his composure. Don't be embarrassed. You haven't experienced that period, so it's not surprising that you have such a reaction. However, your self-control is beyond my imagination. I thought you would miss it a little longer, Flame Emperor comforted. Big brother Flame Emperor, don't hide it from me. Great Emperor Qingming shook his head and smiled. How should we deal with the Dragon's Vein? Flame Emperor was stumped by this question. As one of the older generation in the Immortal region, Flame Emperor had experienced the era of the Dragon's Vein. His mentality was naturally much better than great Emperor Qingming's. It was only when the Dragon's Vein first appeared that he lost his mind. After that, he walked out of his reverie and kept thinking about how to deal with the Dragon's Vein. However, he really couldn't figure out how to deal with the Dragon's Vein. For a moment, he wondered how the Yellow Emperor had made the Dragon's Vein obediently hide here for tens of thousands of years. I can't think of one. The Flame Emperor shook his head. But at this moment, The golden dragon in the sky suddenly roared and a violent wave of spiritual power was released from its body. The frenzy lasted for 15 minutes. Emperor Yen and Great Emperor Qingming, who were in the center of the dragon vein, retreated. Even with their strength, they were unable to resist the frenzy of the dragon vein. "What's going on?" asked Great Emperor Qingming. "I've never encountered one either." "Not even you?" "Yes." Yen Di smiled bitterly. It seemed that he had been looked down upon by Qingming, but there was nothing he could do. Back then, the Yellow Emperor was the one who dealt with the dragon vein the most. Perhaps he knew what was going on. The berserk continued. Emperor Yen and Emperor Yen stayed within the limits of what they could endure, and stared at the dragon vein. All of a sudden, the rampaging dragon vein suddenly disappeared. The Flame Emperor and Great Emperor Qingming panicked as they watched the dragon vein disappear. Without hesitation, they used their spiritual power to probe, but they couldn't find the location of the dragon vein. What made them even more panicked was that the boost from the dragon vein had also disappeared. If the dragon vein had merely moved to another location, then the boost from the dragon vein would still be there. The only difference was that the density of the spiritual energy depended on the distance of the target. However, Emperor Yen and Emperor Qingming could clearly feel that the boost had completely disappeared. It was as if the dragon vein had been hidden by the Yellow Emperor. They weren't the only ones who felt it. The heavenly court and the underworld all felt it as well. The density of spiritual energy that they felt comfortable with had disappeared. What happened? Many people who were sitting on the ground stood up and raised their eyebrows at their friends. When they saw that their friends had the same expression as them, they knew that they were in the same situation. Of course, there were also quite a few people who merely smiled and didn't care about the disappearance of the dragon vein. Of course, there were also some irrational people who cursed. In any case, the disappearance of the dragon vein was felt by everyone in the three realms. Big Brother Flame Emperor Great Emperor Qingming was rather panicked. The dragon vein was extremely important, but they lost sight of it. Even Flame Emperor was panicking, not to mention Qingming. "Simon, let's go and find Yizichen. He definitely knows what happened." Under such circumstances, only the Yellow Emperor knew what had happened. As expected of the demon race's commander, he's quite resistant to beatings. Bang! Another punch landed on Black Dragon's face. The powerful force directly smashed him into the ground, creating a large crater. At this moment, Black Dragon was no longer attacking. It wasn't that he didn't want to attack, but he didn't have enough spiritual energy to do so. All he could do now was desperately defend and look for an opportunity to escape. At that moment, Yizichen, who was still in the air, suddenly frowned. As he furrowed his brows, Fatty Een came over and said, "Don't worry. You felt it too." "You feel it too?" Yizichen raised his eyebrows. The feeling he got just now was very strange. It was as if he had a buff that could recover spiritual energy, but it suddenly disappeared. At the same time, two whooshing sounds came from the sky. When Yizichen turned around, he saw Flame Emperor and Great Emperor Qingming hurrying over frantically. "Why are you guys here? Didn't I tell you to look for the dragon vein?" When he noticed their expressions and recalled what had just happened, his eyelids suddenly twitched. "You guys." Flame Emperor walked over with a dark expression, then whispered something into Yizichen's ear. Yizichen was shocked. "What? You don't know what's going on either?" Flame Emperor frowned. "How could I possibly know?" Yizichen shrugged wryly. "I can swear to the heavens that I've never encountered something like this." The dragon vein went berserk. It suddenly disappeared. Yizichen, who had completely awakened, searched through the Yellow Emperor's memories, but was unable to find any information about this. Flame Emperor's heart sank. Yizichen actually doesn't know what's going on. Could it be that the dragon vein had disappeared from their midst just like that? Yizichen also frowned, while Fatty Yin's expression also darkened when he heard the news. However, they forgot about Black Dragon, who had been waiting for a chance. Go! Black Dragon roared at his subordinates in the crater. The demon sovereign, who was also waiting for a chance, immediately broke free from his restraints and charged out of the valley with Black Dragon. Yi Zichen, these baddies are going to run! Lori, who had been staring at them, reached out her hand and shouted. She wanted to stop them. Chapter 722. Great Emperor Yonghe's death. Little Lori's call reached Yi Zichen's ears. He turned, grabbed the Xianyuan sword, and slashed out with it. The sword energy was much faster than Black Dragon and the others, and was about to catch up to them. I'm sorry, but we demons will remember your kindness, said Yi Shiwen. Black Dragon reached out and grabbed Yonghe's arm, then threw him behind. For some reason, Yonghe actually laughed when he was thrown away. He didn't resist at all. He simply allowed Black Dragon to throw him behind and use him as a meat shield. He didn't even try to defend himself when the sword energy was about to land on him. Boom! The sword energy collided with Yonghe's body, causing a brilliant light to shine. Black Dragon, who was running away, watched as Yonghe was swallowed by the light. Yonghe bowed deeply towards him, then ran away without looking back. Lori wanted to chase after him, but Yi Zichen stopped her. Never mind, I can't catch up. Lori, who was about to chase after him, stopped. She pouted and lowered her head, not daring to look directly into Yi Zichen's eyes. Yi Zichen clearly gave her the mission to keep an eye on those baddies, but she didn't complete it. I was wrong. Little Lori bit her lip like a child who'd done something wrong. When Yi Zichen saw how cute she looked, he reached out and tousled her hair. I made those baddies run away. Lori bit her lips like a child who had done something wrong. She continuously fiddled with her clothes, not daring to look up. With a long face, Shaoyuli was in low spirits. She kept fiddling with the corners of her clothes, not daring to raise her head. Really? Then can I still eat candy? Lori looked up and blinked. Really? Then can I still eat jelly beans? Little Yuli raised her head and blinked her eyes. Yi Zichen couldn't help but laugh when he heard Lori's question. He took out 2 bottles of pills and placed them in Lori's hands, then pinched her cheek. Of course you can. Yay, that's great. Little Lori skipped over to the side to show off to Fatty Yin. She had the temperament of a child. She was as pure as a piece of white paper. This girl is very strong, Flame Emperor couldn't help but comment. The Flame Emperor couldn't help but ask. Although little Lori didn't release her spiritual power just now, he still felt a hint of threat from her. It's just that her personality is too pure, laughed Yi Zichen. Isn't simplicity much better than complexity? Flame Emperor said. Yi Zichen didn't deny it. Indeed, sometimes a simple heart was much stronger than a complicated one. It was too late for them to chase after Black Dragon and the others. They should thank Yonghe for bringing up the rear. Everyone descended from the sky and arrived before Great Emperor Yonghe. Although Yi Zichen had only casually swung the sword, the power of the complete Xianyuan sword was not to be underestimated. Yonghe directly used his body to block, not putting up any defense. The result was death. Dead? Yi Zichen asked. In front of people of their level, faking death was definitely not something that could be hidden. He is indeed dead. The Flame Emperor nodded in affirmation, but there was no fluctuation in his eyes. He had betrayed the immortal region, yet he didn't poke a few more holes in this fatty's body. This could already be considered extremely benevolent. Why did he have to do that? But this isn't too bad for him. As one of the 4 great emperors, Qingming couldn't help but let out a long sigh. The 4 great emperors were of the same generation, and although they didn't interact much with each other, they were much closer to each other. He was very angry when Great Emperor Yonghe betrayed the immortal region. But for some reason, when he thought about it in the dead of the night, he could understand Yonghe's actions. They all knew of each other's dreams, and Yonghe's choice to take this step might really be for his dream. No matter what, he has served the immortal region for so many years. Let's bury him, Flame Emperor said calmly. Normally, when the upper echelons of the immortal region died in battle, they would be buried in a special ancestral hall. However, Great Emperor Yonghe had betrayed the immortal region, so he couldn't return to the ancestral hall. I can't just leave his corpse in the wilderness because of his previous contributions, I'll just bury him here. An hour later, the group finished burying Great Emperor Yonghe. Neither Flame Emperor nor Yi Zichen had a good impression of him. Instead, Great Emperor Qingming carefully toasted him with a cup of wine, then set up a spiritual formation before leaving. I hope you can fulfill your dream in your next life. After escaping from the canyon, Black Dragon ordered the demon race's troops to retreat. During that time, the Grand Alliance of the Three Realms chased after him, causing the demons to suffer huge losses. Plenty of demons wanted to fight to the death, but Black Dragon's order was, "Don't get entangled. Retreat." After 3 days of pursuit, more than half of the demons' elites were lost. Less than a tenth of the millions of soldiers managed to retreat from the Three Realms. This was the most serious loss Black Dragon had ever suffered since he became famous. Fortunately, the demon sovereigns did not die, and the elite cavalry did not die. As long as he had enough time, he could still rise again. Yi Zichen. Black Dragon took a deep look at Maple City, then waved his hand and clenched his teeth. Let's go. The Three Realms won the demon-slaying war. The cities outside the immortal region, including the subdimension the white-robed man left behind, held a celebration for half a month. That wasn't all. Yi Zichen's group was also very lively. Due to the Alliance's cooperation, the barriers between the Heavenly Court and the Underworld seemed to have disappeared overnight. The Underworld's staff group was also integrated into Yi Zichen's Red Packet server. A new person joined the group. How could he not have the rules he should have? Half a month passed. Yi Zichen pretty much did nothing. He stared at the Red Packet server when he opened his eyes, and thought about red packets when he closed his eyes. Since he couldn't sleep thinking about red packets, he thought of an idea. He would make an announcement before he went to sleep and stop them from sending red packet. Then he would make an announcement after he woke up and start sending red packets. If anyone didn't listen, he would kick them. Since there were a lot of people, it didn't matter if they were kicked. All in all, the red packets were snatched like crazy. What's more, as the leader of the group, if he couldn't get any red packets, he would have to use his authority to get others to send him a private packet. What, you don't want to? Then sorry. Bang. Due to Yi Zichen's dominance, even the stingy cheapskates sent private packets. Yi Zichen earned a lot in the past half a month. To describe it in one word, it was awesome. Even though Yi Zichen's current identity didn't have much use for the treasures those little deities gave him. What he wanted was the fun of snatching red packets. Otherwise, why would so many people in the real world enjoy snatching red packets even if they were only worth 1 cent? Snatching red packets was for the mood. It was for fun. Of course, Yi Zichen didn't lose himself in it. He knew very well that he had other things to deal with, for example. Chapter 723. Change in the Demonic Realm Defeat. He returned in low spirit. At that time, they were full of lofty sentiments and swore that they would take the Three Realms under their control. In the end, they retreated in panic and lost a large number of troops. When they walked out of the wormhole, regardless of whether it was the upper echelons of the demon realm, whether it was the ordinary soldiers under him, they were all in an especially gloomy state. Even though they were unwilling, the moment they stepped out of the wormhole, they had no choice but to nod in their hearts. He had truly lost. Why is it so quiet? The demon sovereign who walked out of the wormhole couldn't help but frown. But no matter what, this was their base camp, and they had left a lot of troops behind to prevent the other party from attacking. After walking for a full hour, this group of people still did not see the shadow of any patrolling soldiers. These fellows, they actually learned to slack off without us around. When the time comes, we'll definitely teach them a good lesson. One of the demon sovereigns spoke up. Actually, the reason why he said this was to prevent Black Dragon from killing these people in a fit of rage. Ever since they left the Three Realms, Black Dragon's mood had been particularly irritable. They had already lost too many of their clansmen, and did not want to lose any more. Something's wrong. Right at this moment, Li Min furrowed her brows and extended her hand towards everyone, signaling them to stop. The people around her looked at her in confusion, only to see her nose twitching and her eyebrows knitting together. What happened? Black Dragon couldn't help asking. Among the demon sovereigns, Li Min's sense of smell was the sharpest. She had clearly sensed something. There's the smell of blood. It's very faint, but it's definitely there, Li Min replied. Smell of blood. The other demon sovereigns subconsciously breathed in the surrounding air, but their sense of smell didn't detect the slightest smell of blood. Min-yi, could it be that you still haven't come out from the Three Realms? Among the crowd of demon sovereigns, another female courtesan twisted her slender waist and smiled seductively. This group of people were particularly sensitive to the smell of blood, but they did not sense the presence of the smell. Moreover, after walking for so long, they didn't see any dead people or spiritual power fluctuations from battles. Li Min shook her head firmly. She had absolute confidence in her sense of smell. There's no mistaking the smell of blood. It's just that a long time has passed, at least half a year. Ha! One of the demon sovereigns couldn't help but snicker. Their hearts were still burning with anger after their defeat. Li Min's vigilant look just happened to touch their nerve. It's been half a year. Are you trying to tell us that someone took over this place right after we left the demon realm? Shouldn't we not be standing here? We should quickly retreat and find a safe place to hide like a coward? As soon as the honor demon said this, the Black Dragon stared at him with a sullen face. He was defeated. Coward. No matter how he thought about it, this fellow seemed to be pointing at him. Sensing the Black Dragon's gaze, the demon lord realized that he had said something wrong and hurriedly explained himself. Sir, I'm not talking about you. Li Min is simply too paranoid. Our demon realm's defenses are impregnable. How could someone take over our territory right after we left? Besides, Old Six is guarding this place. Even if someone really comes, even if he can't defeat them, he can still send a message. Old Six was what the demon sovereigns called each other. It was also a ranking of their strength. The sixth demon sovereign was left behind by Black Dragon in case of any accidents. He was also a complete stage sky immortal. Black Dragon narrowed his eyes and snorted coldly. If it wasn't for the fact that the demon realm had suffered great losses, he would have killed the demon sovereign without giving him a chance to explain himself. Don't be careless. Don't forget that we've suffered from carelessness in the Three Realms. Black Dragon swept his gaze across the surrounding demon sovereigns. When he saw them all lowering their heads timidly, he turned to Li Min-yi. Can you guarantee that the information is accurate? 90%. Li Min-yi still had a confident look on her face. Then let's all be careful. The surrounding demon sovereigns couldn't help but curse inwardly. However, since Black Dragon had already said so, they couldn't do anything about it. They could only obediently follow behind. Another hour passed by. Along the way, they advanced at an extremely slow speed. Along the way, they would carefully use their spiritual energy to scan their surroundings. Even though this was a plain with no cover, making it impossible for them to set up an ambush. We've already been walking for 2 hours. Has anyone seen any enemies? The demon sovereign, who had been waiting to see Li Min-yi make a fool of herself, couldn't help but sneer. The moment he said that, the other demon sovereigns who had the same thoughts curled their lips in disdain. No, but our Li Min-yi's second big sister Li must have her own excuses. Since we haven't reached the capital yet, anything is possible. These words seemed to be speaking up for Li Min-yi, but they were actually mocking her. They hadn't seen any enemies ambushing them in 2 hours. They were about to reach the capital, so they didn't believe that there were enemies here. Even Black Dragon, who trusted Li Min Yi deeply, couldn't help but suspect that she was just too nervous. The smell of blood is even stronger. However, Li Min Yi still maintained her own opinion in the face of their mockery. She wasn't affected at all. Did you hear that? Second big sister Li is trying to tell us that the enemies are in the capital. The one who said this was the one who had mocked them the most earlier. The others couldn't help but shake their heads and laugh. However, they didn't stop walking. They were waiting to enter the capital and slap Li Min Yi in the face. Quite a few people even boldly used their spiritual energy to shout, "Old Six, stop hiding in the city. We're back. What's going on? What is Old Six doing?" One of the demon sovereigns couldn't help but frown. What if the enemies invade instead of defending the city? As they said this, they couldn't help but sneer at Li Min Yi. They walked forward with smiles on their faces. Seeing that they were about to enter the capital, their tense nerves finally relaxed. Even though Li Min Yi kept reminding them that the smell of blood was getting closer, they didn't care. "Stop!" At this moment, a scout suddenly shouted. The rest of the demon sovereigns looked at him in confusion. They saw the scout trembling all over as he pointed at the city gate with a trembling finger. "What's wrong?" The others all looked towards the city gate. "What's going on?" Some of the sharp-eyed ones already saw the situation on the city walls. Those who hadn't seen clearly turned to the people beside them and asked what was going on. Li Min Yi said indifferently. Chapter 724. Chapter 724. Lord Gu Li Ol 6. He's hanging on the city walls. The demon sovereigns all stopped in shock. A few of them didn't see what was going on and didn't believe it. They ignored Black Dragon's objections and ran forward. "Ol 6. Shouted the demon sovereigns hoarsely. Only then did they finally see clearly. It was indeed Ol 6 hanging on the city walls. Furthermore, judging from the time, this brother who'd worked with them for tens of thousands of years had been dead for at least half a year. Just who is it? There was no lack of demon sovereigns who were on good terms with Ol 6. When they saw Ol 6 hanging on the city walls, their eyes turned bloodshot. "Just who is it? Come out. I'm going to kill you." As soon as he finished speaking, the Devil Lord rushed towards the city like a madman. "Ol 3, come back!" The other demon sovereigns shouted from behind him, but the red-eyed demon sovereign didn't care about them at all. Right now, his only thought was to take down Old 6 from the city and bury him. Then, he would find the murderer and hack him to pieces. "Your Excellency!" One of the demon sovereigns couldn't help but call out. Black Dragon gnashed his teeth. "Follow him. Ol 6, wait for me. I'll come save you right away." The Honor Demon, who was leading the charge, stared at Old 6 who was hanging on the city wall. But at this moment, "Ol 3, behind you!" shouted one of the demon sovereigns. At the same time, a sinister laugh rang out by Ol 3's ear. "You're too impulsive. You've fallen out of line with the rest." This sudden laugh caused Ol 3 to break out in a cold sweat. Although he seemed impulsive, he'd been using his spiritual energy to survey his surroundings. However, he hadn't noticed when the owner of the voice had appeared next to him. By the time he reacted, his chest had already been pierced through. He hung stiffly from the person's arm. As for his heart, it was in the person's hand, beating vigorously. "It seems you're the closest to Ol 6 among the demon sovereigns. Go accompany him." Ol 3 was flung to the ground. He didn't even have a chance to struggle. The moment he hit the ground, he died. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. By the time the demon lord behind him reacted, it was already too late. "Third brother!" The seductive Hua Kuei screamed at the top of her lungs. When she saw the hole in Lao San's chest, she almost went crazy. She desperately wanted to go to his side, but Li Min Yi grabbed her arm tightly. "Let me go!" Hua Kuei struggled with all her might and screamed. However, she was the weakest among the demon sovereigns. How could she possibly struggle free from Li Min-yi? Let me go. A slap landed on Hua Kuei's face. The sound of the slap was crisp and clear. Do you want to die too? Li Min-yi's face was ice-cold as she stared at Hua Kuei, who had lost his mind. Mao Qing is already dead. Even he wasn't a match for him. What can you do if you go? Is he going to die for love? Hua Kuei seemed to be very licentious. No matter who he was facing, he liked to tease them. However, she was only limited to flirting. Anyone who wanted to have sex with her would have their necks broken by her. Everyone among the demon sovereigns knew that Hua Kuei had always had someone in his heart. She'd only told this secret to her close friend, Li Min-yi. That person was the third demon sovereign. I know you're feeling terrible right now. As a woman myself, I can feel your despair, Li Min-yi said coldly. Why can you? Hua Kuei glared at her fiercely, but all she saw was a desolate smile from Li Min-yi. Don't forget, Yoon's here too. Her desolate tone tugged at Hua Kuei's heartstrings. Only then did she remember. Li Min-yi had disregarded everything to be with Su Yoon in the modern realm. Min-yi. Alright, Kuei. Let's calm down, alright? At the same time, the pursuing demon sovereigns finally saw the scene around the capital. The corpses of demon soldiers were piled up at the foot of the city. On top of the corpses was a group of abyssals? When they saw the abyssals, they didn't immediately realize what was going on. The difference between these abyssals and the ones from before was too great. But that wasn't the main point. They were furious. These low-level abyssals dared to crawl onto their noble demon soldiers and eat their corpses. This was unforgivable. TSK, what a beautiful scene of sisterly love. That playful smile appeared in the sky again. Not long later, a young man in purple robes appeared in front of the group of demon sovereigns. His skin was like jade, and it glistened under the light. But this jade-like right hand was clutching a heart that was dripping with blood. The heart was still beating, but its temperature hadn't disappeared. You, Guli. Although there was a huge difference between before and after, Black Dragon still recognized him immediately. This lowly one is terrified. Lord Black Dragon actually recognized this lowly one. This is truly unexpected, the youth laughed in terror. Then, his terror faded away. That's right, I'm Guli. However, I'm no longer the Guli you used to know. What? He's actually Guli? How could he be Guli? He's giving me such a strong sense of oppression. Wasn't he just a mid-stage sky immortal? How did he grow so much stronger now? The demon sovereigns couldn't help but mutter to themselves. The difference between before and after was far too great. For a moment they couldn't believe that the person standing in front of them was actually Guli, the person they'd always looked down on. You're pretty surprised, aren't you? Up in the sky, Guli smiled calmly. He enjoyed the sight of these arrogant demon sovereigns, exclaiming in admiration. Of course, there were also those who didn't take Guli seriously, such as the eldest of the demon sovereigns. He looked straight up at the sky and snorted. Guli, I don't care how strong you are. You actually dared to assassinate 2 of our demon sovereigns. What exactly are your intentions? Assassinate? Don't flatter your demon sovereigns, all right? Guli laughed disdainfully. I killed them in broad daylight, but OL-6 actually dared to investigate me in secret. He discovered my plan, so I had no choice but to silence him. As for OL-3, I'll just treat him as a gift to you. Are you trying to rebel? Haha, what a joke, Guli shrugged disdainfully. I can't be bothered to waste my breath on you, so I'll take this opportunity to announce it to you. From now on, I am the realm lord of this realm. You may call me Lord Guli. Under everyone's sinister gazes, Guli lifted the heart, put it in his mouth, and bit down hard. Purple blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He wiped it away with his jade-like fingers and sucked on it. Chapter 725. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. The moment Hua Kuei saw Gu Li place Mao Qing's heart in his mouth, she lost control of her emotions. She was the weakest among the demon sovereigns, but in her current state, she no longer had the patience to set up illusions. I'm going to kill you to avenge third brother. Hua Kuei had lost all reason, so she could only use the most basic weapon of women: fingernails. She threw all caution to the wind and pounced in front of Gu Li, then reached out and clawed at his face. Although she wasn't strong, she was still a demon sovereign and a late-stage sky immortal. Her claw would have crushed even a rock, but when it landed on Gu Li's face, all it left was a white mark. Gu Li reached out and wiped his cheeks, then smiled. You actually dared to scratch my face. Die. Hua Kuei didn't listen to what he was saying at all. She continuously waved her ordinary weapon, leaving white marks on Gu Li's face. Slap. Gu Li reached out and grabbed Hua Kuei's arm, then smiled sinisterly. Did you know that I have a bottom line? I've never killed a woman. Pa! Hua Kuei, who'd lost her fingernails, spat at Gu Li without any hesitation. Gu Li smiled devilishly, then wiped away the spit with his finger, then traced it across Hua Kuei's face. What an exquisite face! Don't touch me! Hua Kuei struggled frantically, using both her hands and feet to attack Gu Li. If this were any other time, I might have kept you alive and let you be my place to vent my desires. But of all the things you shouldn't have done, you shouldn't have scratched my face, and even spat your filthy saliva on it. Gu Li's expression instantly darkened. But then, pa! She spat on his face again. You bitch! Bang! Gu Li tightened his grip on Hua Kuei's arm. With a crisp crack, her arm was clearly broken. Hua Kuei merely frowned, then squinted her eyes and spat on Gu Li's face again. Kill me if you dare. I said I don't kill women. Gu Li smiled sinisterly, then raised his fist and punched her in the mouth. I'll make you vomit, I'll make you vomit. Punch after punch landed on Hua Kuei's mouth. Not long after, teeth and blood spilled out of her mouth. But that wasn't the end. After knocking all of her teeth out, Gu Li grabbed her hand. Scratch my face with it, right? Whoosh. Hua Kuei's fingers forcefully pulled off her fingernails one by one. From the beginning to the end, Hua Kuei did not let out a single scream. Her face was pale, but her eyes were filled with unrelenting rage. She used the last of her strength to spit a mouthful of blood right in Gu Li's face. You, how dare she sully my holy face, how dare she creak? Do you want to die? Clenching his fists tightly, the anger in his heart made his chest heave up and down. However, Hua Kuei just smiled faintly and looked at him with contempt. Bah! Good, good, good! Gu Li said good 3 times in a row, his aura growing stronger and stronger. She clenched her fists and glared at Hua Kuei's blood-covered face. Since you want to die, I'll make an exception for you this once. Bang! Blood splattered everywhere. Gu Li smashed Hua Kuei's head to bits. Even in the moment before she lost her life, she was still smiling. She knew she couldn't avenge her third brother, but she could at least die for him. Third brother, I won't let you be alone on the road to the Yellow Springs. The demon sovereign's eyes were bloodshot, especially Li Min-yi. She was Hua Kuei's close friend, but now she was Hua Kuei's close friend. Gu Li actually dared to torture her like this. This was unforgivable. However, if they wanted to deal with Gu Li, they had to break through the 3 in front of them. The moment Hua Kuei arrived in front of Gu Li, the 3 ashen-skinned, deathly pale men blocked his way. Although the demon sovereigns wanted to save Hua Kuei, logic told them. These 3 guys in front of him that were neither human nor ghost were not easy to deal with. By now, Gu Li had already cleaned up the filth on his face. Even so, he continued to wipe his face with a clean handkerchief. Gu Li. The furious Li Min-yi bit her lips hard and glared at him. Li Min-yi, don't be so angry. Let me tell you something. If you want to leave, you can leave now. For the sake of Old Sue, I won't make things difficult for you. Old Sue, you two are partners now. One of the demon sovereigns could not help but scold angrily. I knew that you bunch of people who are not of our race definitely have ulterior motives. He won't. Li Min Yi suddenly shouted. Yun won't betray me. You're still speaking up for him? Li Min Yi, I didn't agree with the two of you being together from the very beginning. The one who spoke was the eldest of the demon sovereigns. He had always admired Li Min Yi and thought that he was the most suitable husband for her. However, he never would have imagined that the guy that he could crush like an ant would actually gain Li Min Yi's favor. Even after Su Yun became a formation master of the demon race, he still didn't like him. No, Yun definitely won't betray me. Grandson, don't slander old Su here. I know your thoughts better than anyone else. Guli actually spoke up for Su Yun. No one expected Guli to actually speak up for Su Yun. Of course I want Master Su to team up with me. I've been using the fact that we're both from the modern realm to coax and pester him. Unfortunately, Master Su did not agree to my request, and is still considering it. He's actually still considering it. If I don't consider it, then am I supposed to agree? At this moment, a white-robed old man appeared in the void. With his white hair and dry skin, anyone who looked at him would think that he was an old man approaching the end of his life. However, everyone in the demon realm knew that he was Su Yun. His true age was in his 20s. Brother Su, Guli greeted him with a smile. But Su Yun ignored him completely and walked in front of Li Min. Thank goodness you're still alive. Li Min Yi leaped into Su Yun's embrace, causing the demon sovereign's eyelids to twitch. Su Yun glanced at him in disdain when he felt the dark gaze behind him. He rubbed Li Min Yi's hair, then nodded towards Black Dragon and walked in front of Guli. However, for some reason, Guli could not bring himself to smile. You've decided? We're both from the modern realm, and our goals are pretty much the same. Why not work together with me? Chapter 726. In terms of tactics, you're still stronger. Li Min Yi broke out in a cold sweat for Su Yun's disdain. Guli was no longer the Guli of the past. His methods were unyielding, and he had powerful helpers. She was truly afraid that he'd fly into a rage and kill Su Yun just like that. The three ghastly figures blocking Black Dragon and the other demon elites glanced at Guli when they heard his words. Guli shook his head at them. The three of them looked back at the demon sovereign. He nodded with a smile, then slowly raised his hands. When she saw Guli raise his hands, Li Min Yi instinctively warned Su Yun to be careful. I respect your choice, said Guli. He merely patted Su Yun's shoulder, then opened his arms as if to hug him. Su Yun just stood there quietly in front of him, completely ignoring him. Guli didn't get angry. He simply smiled calmly and made way. I hope you won't regret your choice today. I'll say the same to you, said Su Yun. Su Yun raised his eyebrows and said, I have to remind you that your method of increasing your strength is indeed very fast, but it goes against the laws of the heavens. It's not too late to stop now. Thank you for your concern, said Guli with a smile. Guli smiled calmly and nodded. But I still want to walk my own path. Su Yun nodded, then walked towards Black Dragon and the others. Guli shook his head at them, then the three of them stepped aside to make way for Black Dragon and the others. Let's go, said Su Yun. What do you mean let's go? This is our territory. Are we supposed to give it to him? Snorted the leader of the demon sovereigns. He'd always found Su Yun an eyesore and always wanted to cause trouble for him. It seems to me that the two of you plan this together. You want to take over the space we've painstakingly managed for tens of thousands of years without losing a single soldier? Dream on. Then stay here, snorted Su Yun. Su Yun didn't argue with him. He merely glanced at Black Dragon and arched his brows. Let's go. All right. To everyone's surprise, Black Dragon left with Su Yun without any hesitation. One of the demon sovereigns asked in confusion. My lord, why must we leave? What power could that brat Guli possibly have? Although we lost some troops in the three realms, if we really wanted to go all out, that doesn't mean we'd lose. That's right, my lord. Don't fall into the trap of some scoundrel, old Kaitu said. I can't risk it anymore. When he said this, Black Dragon seemed to have aged 10 years. These soldiers are our only hope for the future. I can't let them risk their lives for me. They all have families, don't they? My lord. Don't say any more. Black Dragon interrupted the demon sovereigns without hesitation. Although the demon sovereigns were unwilling, they had no choice but to leave with him. Little ones, send our guests off. Then Guli clapped his hands. Before long, a swarm of black shadows appeared behind Guli. The demon race couldn't help but look up at the dark sky. When they saw the black mass in the sky, they couldn't help but think, fortunately, there was no battle. The three realms had been defeated. Their lair had been occupied. The demons were in low spirit. They stood in front of the spatial wormhole in confusion. They suddenly didn't know where to go to rest. In the past half-year, I used a spiritual formation to set up a space. Although it's not very large, it should be enough for us to live in, said Suiyun. Please, Black Dragon bowed sincerely. Black Dragon sincerely bowed to him. To be honest, if it weren't for Suiyun, he really didn't know where he would have led his subordinates to live. Here. At that moment, Suiyun tossed a ring towards Black Dragon. Black Dragon's face was filled with suspicion when he saw the ring. These are our resources. I've long since sensed that Guli wanted to take over our lair. So, I took some in advance. Although I didn't take all of it, it should be enough for us to live. This. Black Dragon was momentarily speechless. Even the demon sovereigns who'd been suspicious of Suiyun tossed their suspicions to the back of their minds. What partnership! If they really did cooperate with Guli, there was no need for him to take out these resources. Master Su, you are the savior of the entire demon race. Black Dragon lowered his head. Black Dragon lowered his head, and so did the other demons around him. Suiyun nodded expressionlessly the entire time. Guli, who was standing nearby, also watched the demons indifferently. When he saw them all bow towards Suiyun, he couldn't help but smile. In terms of methods, you're still stronger. From today onwards, Master Su is on the same level as me. When you see Master Su, it's the same as when you see me. Understood? Black Dragon narrowed his eyes and scanned the crowd, especially the leader of the demon sovereigns. He knew that this guy wasn't on good terms with Suiyun, but if he dared to do so, Black Dragon would definitely abandon him. Understood, the demons replied simultaneously. No need, just act like before. What's more, I'm only studying spiritual formations every day. I only hope that Lord Black Dragon can provide me with the resources I need. Suiyun smiled. Suiyun chuckled. Black Dragon immediately nodded in agreement. From now on, Master Su will share this ring with me. There's no need to report to me. Just take whatever you need. Then I'll thank Lord Black Dragon. Master Su, you're too courteous, Black Dragon smiled. These resources weren't as simple as just resources. They were Black Dragon's hope for a comeback. As long as we can hold on with these resources until the Demon Realm's envoy arrives, then we'll definitely return to the three realms. And that Guli, I'll definitely make him pay the price he deserves. Envoy? Suiyun frowned. Master Su, you might not know, Black Dragon told Suiyun about the envoy without any hesitation. He was now completely treating Suiyun as one of his own. After explaining, he said to Suiyun, after the envoy arrives, I'll definitely put in a few good words for you. When the envoy arrives, I'll definitely put in a few good words for you. Then I'll thank Lord Black Dragon in advance, Suiyun smiled. Master Su, you're too courteous. We demons have a lot of respect for people with high attainments in formations. Even if you ascend, you'll definitely be treated extremely well. I'm merely introducing you, Black Dragon replied with a smile. Black Dragon replied with a smile. Then, he suddenly thought of the three people who'd blocked their path. Those 3 people didn't seem like living people, but they weren't as good as dead either. Furthermore, they were extremely strong. This made him very confused. Master Su, do you know of Gu Li's 3 subordinates? Chapter 727. Reward for reporting. During the war in the demon realm, the common people of the immortal region had migrated to the white-robed man's dimensional space in advance, so they were not harmed too much. However, as the battlefields of the 2 sides, the various cities suffered varying degrees of damage. Especially Pool City, almost the entire city had been turned into ruins. After the demons retreated, the people of the immortal region began to repair the cities. It had only been half a month. Other than Pool City, which was still under repair, the rest of the cities were no longer as dilapidated as before. In fact, they were even more flourishing than before. TSK, in terms of building a city, I really admire you guys. Yi Zichen stood outside Maple City and looked at the majestic city in front of him. He couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. This efficiency, if it was in the modern world, it would definitely be the benchmark for construction teams. A human's potential is limitless. The Flame Emperor also pursed his lips into a smile. He, who had lived for countless years, was no longer surprised by this. I agree. At that time, Emperor Qin Shi Huang built the Great Wall of China. It was built by ordinary people, 1 brick at a time. What's more, this was the 3 realms of ascension. Even the commoners had the strength of a false spiritual body. Repairing the city was not a particularly difficult problem for them. You said that the dragon vein suddenly went berserk. It happened nearby, right? After a simple sigh, Yi Zichen's expression changed, and he looked towards the location where the ley line was hidden. The smile on the Flame Emperor's face disappeared, and he said seriously, to be precise, it should be 100 meters ahead. Let's go and take a look. Yi Zichen slowly closed his eyes when he arrived at the place where the ley line was raging. After receiving all of the Yellow Emperor's memories, Yi Zichen was no longer unfamiliar with them. Seeing his expression, Flame Emperor didn't dare to say anything to disturb him. In order to prevent the passers-by from disturbing them, he even specifically told people not to walk in their direction. Half an hour had passed. During this time, Yi Zichen seemed to have entered a meditative state. Even his breathing was barely discernible. However, Flame Emperor could sense that everything within 100 miles was within the range of Yi Zichen's spiritual consciousness. Buzz, a wave of spiritual energy spread outward. At the same time, Yi Zichen slowly opened his eyes. His pitch-black pupils flickered with confidence as the corners of his mouth quietly rose. This old fellow. You have a clue. The Flame Emperor hurried over. The dragon vein was of utmost importance to the 3 realms. Even he was a little flustered when he saw the dragon vein disappear right before his eyes. Although Yi Zichen had reassured him that the ley line wouldn't be lost, he couldn't eat or sleep well without seeing it reappear. I told you that the ley line would not go berserk for no reason. Someone deliberately used some sort of trick to capture the ley line. In the end, they actually succeeded. Someone captured it? The Flame Emperor was shocked. The dragon's vein isn't the spirit of all creatures. How could it be captured? Back then, I could hide the ley line. Why can't others capture it? Yi Zichen didn't panic at all. After so many years, he hasn't changed at all. He's still so, wretched? Instead of cultivating properly and breaking through to the immortal realm, he spends all his time researching the dragon vein. I really admire him. What are you talking about? The Flame Emperor was a little confused. He couldn't understand what was being said at all. But from what he said, it seemed like the person who stole the ley line was an elder of the 3 realms. But since we're both from the 3 realms, why did he steal the ley line? Yi Zichen explained as if he saw through the Flame Emperor's confusion. This old guy has been holding it in for 10,000 years. Now that he saw the ley line appear, he naturally couldn't hold it in any longer. What's more, you should know that the closer you are to the ley line, the stronger the effect. He was in a hurry to break through, so he naturally had to steal the ley line. It's just that he was a bit lacking, so he still left some traces. Otherwise, I really wouldn't have been able to find it so quickly. The Flame Emperor didn't understand at all, but from the looks of it, Yi Zichen seemed to understand. Then no rush. Let's go into the city and find a tavern. I need to make some arrangements before we go. At the Red Packet server, the excitement in the group reached its peak after half a month of revelry. Even though most of the Underworld's employees had already arrived, there would still be a few new people joining the group from time to time, causing another wave of red packets to rain down. The people of the Heavenly Court who joined the group early were truly blessed. They truly didn't join for nothing. Look at how much they earned in the past half a month. They were so happy that they couldn't even close their mouth. Immortality Peach Fairy, Admin King Qingguang, please send red packets when new people join the group. If you don't send red packets within 3 minutes, you will be kicked out of the group. Due to the huge increase in the number of members, Yi Zichen had no choice but to set up a few administrators in the group. As Immortality Peach Fairy was his sister in name, she was naturally one of the administrators due to Yi Zichen's favoritism. Canopy Marshal, Old Qin, you're finally here. Hurry up and send red packets. King Qingguang, Since the two groups merged, someone had to stay behind. As the big brother of the 10 Yama Kings, King Qingguang naturally stayed behind and left the group. His departure also represented the true disbandment of the Underworld's staff group. Yi Zichen, who had just entered the Red Packet server for the first time, was completely confused. What's going on? I just entered the group and I have to send red packets. Don't mess around, I'm the one receiving gifts in the Underworld. God of Thunder, what are you yelling for? Didn't you see that our Immortality Peach Fairy already told you to send red packets? If you don't, then she's really going to kick you out without hesitation. Immortality Peach Fairy, Admin King Qingguang, you only have 1 minute left. King Chujiang, big bro, hurry up and send it. If you don't, then they're really going to kick you out. Following a row of crying emojis, it was clear that he really was kicked out. As for the person who kicked him out, it was naturally Yi Zichen. He had paid a huge price in order to come back. King Qingguang, Immortality Peach Fairy, Admin King Qingguang, you only have 30 seconds left. Yi Zichen, why is it so lively? Yi Zichen, who had just arrived at the tavern, couldn't help but chime in when he saw how lively the group was. King Chujiang, greetings to a master. Following a row of cute emojis. God of Thunder, welcome, Sky Sovereign, to our group to patrol and guide us. Immortality Peach Fairy, Admin Big Bro, why did you come? This new King Qingguang isn't sending red packet. King Qingguang, Yi Zichen, if he's not sending red packets then I'll just kick him out. Bang. Yi Zichen clicked on King Qingguang's profile picture and kicked him without any hesitation. Canopy Marshal, God of Thunder, Yu Lao, King Chujiang. Alright, Sky Sovereign is Sky Sovereign, kicking him out of a disagreement. Yi Zichen ignored their ellipses, and directly at the high-ranking officials of the Heavenly Court and Underworld in the group. What has your boss been busy with recently? Report him, there's a reward. Not long later, another bunch of ellipses appeared in the group. Report him. Chapter 728. The innocent Naja. The deities in the group knew that they weren't people with no bottom line. How could they expose their boss's whereabouts just because of a small favor? What a joke. How could they do something like that? Pagoda-bearing Heavenly Kingly was the first to speak. Sky Sovereign, how could we know the Jade Emperor's whereabouts? Deities, don't you agree? How about this? Bang. Pagoda-bearing Heavenly Kingly was kicked out of the Red Packet server. I'll ask again. What has your boss been doing recently? There's a reward for reporting him. The deities in the group kept quiet out of fear. Sky Sovereign really didn't want to spoil them. He'd even kicked out Heavenly Kingly. Was there anything he didn't dare to do? Old Li, who had been sent out of the group, was also dumbfounded. Just half a month ago, they seemed to have fought side by side. He'd kicked out without hesitation. Naja. Old Li, who was holding his phone, did not even think and directly shouted in the mansion. Not long after, Neza, who was holding a football in his arms, rushed over on his windfire wheels. When he saw Old Li's solemn expression, Naja quickly lowered his head and mumbled, "I know I was wrong." Black Guy was confused. Old Li called Naja over so he could plead with Sky's sovereign to let him into the group. What did he do wrong? Wrong? Yes, I really know I was wrong. I gave the luminous pearl East Sea's old dragon, gave you to immortality, Peach Jiejie. I'm sorry, but you've taught me since I was young that I can't take back gifts I've given away. If you're angry, then hit me. Old Li was stunned. The luminous pearl East Sea's old dragon gave him? Slap. Heavenly King Li immediately stood up from his seat and cursed angrily. You brat, you actually gave that luminous pearl away. It was a gift I prepared for your mother on our wedding anniversary. What's wrong? I heard someone calling me from afar. Heavenly King Li's wife walked over with a fruit platter. She was already used to Old Li and Naja staring at each other. However, she was very interested in the gift they just mentioned. What gift? It's my dad, shut up. Heavenly King Li glared at Neza. Although he couldn't defeat Neza right now, he still had the dignity of a father. Seeing Old Li's glare, Neza immediately lowered his head like a frosted eggplant. Heavenly King Li's wife didn't understand. She said, "You haven't told me the gift yet." "Mother, I still have some important matters to discuss with Neza. I'll be leaving first." With that, Heavenly King Li soared into the sky and dragged Neza away. "I haven't eaten the fruit yet. We'll eat it when we come back tonight." After flying for a full 15 minutes, many immortals bumped into Old Li and the others, and they all smiled and greeted them. Heavenly King Li was a good person in the heavenly court. Naturally, he would return the gesture regardless of his immortal status. After dealing with the group of immortals, he glared at Neza, who had his head lowered, and scolded. "You little brat, you actually know how to steal your father's treasure to pick up girls." Neza stuck out his tongue pitifully. He thought that the pearl was pretty and that Sister Immortality Peach might like it, so he stole it and gave it to him. He didn't know that it was a gift for his mother. "Alright, at most I'll help you get another one. If that old dragon doesn't give it to me, I will kill his dragon until he gives it to me." Heavenly King Li's expression darkened when he heard that the Heavenly Court's dragon-slaying expert wasn't just for show. "Don't cause trouble for me." "Then what about Mother's gift?" Neza mumbled. "I naturally have a way." Heavenly King Li snorted, then said, "I came looking for you because I have something to tell you." Ao ao. Cough cough I was kicked out of the group by the Sky Sovereign. As for the reason for kicking me out, I won't tell you. Hurry up and tell the Celestial Sovereign to let me return. Now, orders from the Heavenly Court's upper echelons had to be sent through the group, and immortals had to communicate with each other through the group as well. Now, this group had become an indispensable part of their lives. Now that he had left the group, it was quite a hindrance. Okay, wait a moment. Yi Zichen's kick caused the entire group to go silent. Actually, he could understand. No matter what, these guys relied on the Jade Emperor and the Great Sacred Emperor equaling heavens to make a living, so reporting them so openly was definitely not a good thing. But that didn't mean that he couldn't message them privately. He waited for a long time, but no one contacted him. Ding dong. Yi Zichen took out his phone and saw a bright red one appear on his chat with Neza. "Sky Sovereign, my dad said that you kicked him out of the group. Can you let him back in?" "No." Yi Zichen couldn't allow someone who dared to defy him in public to grow. He had to squash it. Sky Sovereign said no, Neza shrugged. "Please," Heavenly King Li said. Not long later, Neza sent another message. "My dad told me to beg you again. Please let him back in. I accidentally found out that I stole my dad's wedding anniversary gift for my mom. If you don't let him back in, I'm afraid that he'll beat me up. Sky Sovereign, I'm so cute, you definitely don't want me to get beaten up, right? Besides, Sister Immortality Peach is your younger sister, so I'm your future brother-in-law. Sky Sovereign sent me a row of ellipses, Neza reported to Heavenly Kingly. Heavenly Kingly felt a bit helpless. The Celestial's temper was a bit too bad. Didn't he just say something like that? Why was he so angry? Should she just tell him? The Heavenly Sovereign sent another message, Neza suddenly said. Heavenly Kingly hurriedly asked, what did he say? Do it yourself. Neza placed the phone in front of Heavenly Kingly and saw the message. Tell Oldly that if he tells me anything about the Jade Emperor, I'll let him join the group and even give him the position of group administrator. Of course, I can also help him with the wedding anniversary gift. Sky Sovereign, deal. You are. Yi Zichen replied in a testing manner. I'm Oldly. Heavenly Kingly directly picked up Neza's phone. I can tell you about the Jade Emperor. Course, I hope that you can keep your promise and let me join the group and help me with the wedding anniversary gift. When have I ever not kept my word? Always. Heavenly Kingly couldn't help but curse in his heart. However, he didn't dare to send the message, so he could only smile apologetically. The Sky Sovereign naturally keeps his word. Then what are you hesitating for? Hurry up and tell me everything about the Jade Emperor's actions for the past half a month. As long as you can satisfy me, then I will definitely satisfy you. Yi Zichen quickly replied. At that moment, his phone buzzed once again. Yi Zichen glanced at the sender. King Qingguang. I nearly forgot about this guy. Yi Zichen couldn't help but smile when he saw the name. Chapter 729. King Qingguang also instigated a rebellion. King Qingguang felt bitter. The job of bringing up the rear was difficult in itself, but this troublesome job had fallen onto him. It didn't matter. After all, he was the boss of hell, and it didn't matter to him if he had to do some hard work. This was how he had always comforted himself. After much difficulty, he managed to merge all the members of the group into the Heavenly Court group. Finally, he could enter the Heavenly Court group chat. It hadn't even been 3 minutes. There was no organization again. After thinking about it, he just couldn't calm down. Originally, he didn't want to enter that stupid Heavenly Court group, but he couldn't resist the advice of his brothers beside him. He decided to join the group. As for who to find to enter, it was obviously to find the expert who had kicked him out. Master, can you see if I can join the group? Why? This sentence made King Qingguang choke for a long time. You see, we're old friends. You can't possibly treat me like this. Heavenly Kingly even fought alongside me. We went through life and death together. Even if I shouldn't, I still kicked him. With that, a screenshot appeared on the screen. It was the one of Yi Zichen kicking Heavenly Kingly out of the group. Master, don't try to get close to me. The rule of the group is that you can only send red packets when you enter the group. If you don't send them on time, you'll be kicked out of the group. This rule wasn't set by me alone. It was agreed upon by all the immortals in the group. Yi Zichen replied coldly. King Qingguang clenched his teeth. I will. It's too late. I'm not joining this lousy group anymore. In the Yama Palace, King Qingguang was so angry that he stomped his feet. What kind of attitude was this? He was someone with status in the underworld after all. This was too much. I'm telling you, I'm not joining the group anymore. In his rage, King Qingguang complained in their Yama Kings group. Once this news came out, several Yama Kings all came out. King Chujiang, Big Brother, please calm down. Luanhui Wang, be rational. King of Equality, don't be so impulsive. Am I being impulsive? Look at what he told me. He sent a few screenshots over, and the people in the group fell silent. After a long time, King Chujiang, Big Brother, I think what the master said is right. You're still helping outsiders, aren't you? King Qingguang was a little unhappy. Yenlua Wang. Master's words were indeed a little harsh, but every word he said was reasonable. You were kicked out of the group because you didn't send any red packets. It was the same for the rest of us when we joined the group. King of Equality. Old Chu didn't post anything at first, just like you. He was kicked out by an expert and paid a huge price to re-enter the group. Isn't it just a lousy group? Why do you guys care so much? King Qingguang said unhappily. King Chujiang, the higher-ups have spoken. In the future, if there's any news, do it in the group. If you're not in the group, you'll be left behind. You should understand what's more important. Luanhui Wang, my social skills are also in this group. Then why must I join this group? A row of meaningful N appeared on the screen. At this point, King Qingguang's temper was gone. Although he was unhappy, he still had to enter the group. If he didn't, he couldn't bear the responsibility. At most, I'll just bleed a little. King Qingguang thought as he clenched his teeth, then sent a message to Yi Zichen. What he didn't know was that Yi Zichen was chatting happily with Old Li. You're saying that half a month ago, the Jade Emperor sneaked into the secondary realm and came back in about half a day. After that, he never came out again? Even Heavenly King Li, who was loyal to the Jade Emperor, had completely fallen under the threat and temptation. That's right. We haven't seen the Jade Emperor for the past half a month. We haven't had morning court sessions in a while. So that's how it is. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and smiled. All right, your information is very useful to me. You can re-enter the group. As soon as the news spread, Heavenly King Li received a message adding him to the group. Ding dong. Heavenly King Li has joined the group. Canopy Marshal. Oh, Old Li is back again. God of Thunder, it's good to have you back. Ding dong. Pagoda-bearing Heavenly King Li has become the administrator of this group. Yu Lao, Old Li has been promoted. Barefoot Immortal, there must be a story. Erling Shin, admin, he's actually on the same level as me. Wu Gang, what a dirty deal. Bang. Wu Gang was kicked out of the group. Yi Zichen, Heavenly King Li will be the admin of our group from now on. Everyone, please support him. As for that Wu Gang, just treat it as a gift from me. Make good use of it. Not long later, a bunch of evil smiles appeared in the group. They all knew very well that there were more red packets to snatch. Heavenly King Li, who was the admin of the group, did not immediately speak up in the group. He didn't really care about his identity as an admin. The main reason for instigating him was, Sky Sovereign, about the wedding anniversary present. I naturally won't forget, Yi Zichen smiled. Go and find Yu Lao later and get a 3-carat diamond ring from him. It's a new product that we haven't released yet. It's definitely a great gift for your wife. New product. Heavenly King Li's eyes lit up. Women all liked things that other people didn't have, and his wife was no exception. He didn't think much of it when he heard that it was a diamond ring, but now that it was a new product, thank you so much, Sky Sovereign. Do things for me properly from now on. There will be plenty of benefits for you. Yes, yes, yes. After Yi Zichen made arrangements for Heavenly King Li, he finally took some time to check on King Qingguang's messages. Leaving him hanging really did work. Yi Zichen could tell how desperate he was when he saw the 99+ on the screen. What? Yi Zichen maintained his cold attitude, but King Qingguang didn't dare to retort. Just reply. Since Yi Zichen ignored him for a long time, he was worried that Yi Zichen really wouldn't let him into the group. Yi Zichen directly sent out a red packet without saying anything else. Ding dong. Yi Zichen smiled when he saw the red packet on the screen. He sure knows how to do things. However, he didn't accept the red packet. Sky Sovereign, why aren't you? King Qingguang was very anxious. Hurry up and accept the red packet, then I can enter the group. However, it's been almost 2 minutes, and Yi Zichen still hasn't touched the red packet. Could Sky Sovereign feel that the red packet is too small? You want to enter the group? Yi Zichen's message appeared under the red packet. Yes. It's very easy to enter the group. Yi Zichen directly repeated the conditions he gave Heavenly Kingly, but he did make some changes in the middle. Tell me the latest news about your boss. I can let you enter the group again, and give you the identity of an admin. What's more, you can enjoy 100,000 cultivation experience discount in the Heavenly Court. How about it? Do you need me to give you time to think about it? About this, King Qingguang was a bit hesitant. It's not good to betray my boss, right? 200,000. Then I can't, 500,000. Don't be too greedy. You have to think about it clearly. 500,000 cultivation experience and the esteemed identity of an admin. If you still don't agree, then don't enter the group. That's our boss, I've been under him for a million. Chapter 730. Blacklist of Heavenly Court, Master, I've told you everything I know. On the screen, King Qingguang replied sincerely. Yi Zichen couldn't help but nod and smile as he read the messages. It was exactly as he had expected. Very well, I'll let you join the group now. If you work hard for me in the future, I'll reward you handsomely, understand? No problem. Ding dong. King Qingguang has joined the group. Ding dong. King Qingguang has become the admin of this group. The deities in the group naturally congratulated Yi Zichen. However, Yi Zichen did not say anything in the group, and merely pondered over the information Heavenly Kingly and King Qingguang gave him. Sir, all the dishes you ordered are here. When the waiter placed the last dish onto the table, Flame Emperor waved towards Yi Zichen. Here's your order. Let's stop eating. I already have news about the dragon vein. Let's go. But this dish, stop eating. Yi Zichen dragged Flame Emperor away, but before he left, Flame Emperor couldn't help but stuff a piece of beef into his mouth. The waiter who had just served the dishes saw the two guests running away and hurriedly chased after them. Sir, you haven't paid yet. Swoosh. Yi Zichen called out when a bag of money landed in the waiter's hand. Keep the change. That's my money, Flame Emperor cursed angrily. Emperor Yan's mood was not particularly good along the way after his money was stolen. Although he was one of the supreme existences in the immortal region, he didn't seem to have any substantial income. Those few thousand Celeste were all his savings. Don't give me that stinky face. Who owes you money? You owe me money. Flame Emperor rolled his eyes at him. Alright, isn't it just some Celeste coins? When we get back, I'll get Zuemo to pay you back tenfold. You know about the treasure tower, right? The Zuemo I'm talking about is the young mistress of the treasure tower. She's so rich. Are you telling the truth? Flame Emperor's eyes lit up. He had heard of the treasure tower in the outer regions of the immortal realm. He was quite rich. Look at how greedy you are. Yi Zichen shook his head speechlessly. He just couldn't understand how he got to know such a greedy guy back then. Knowing that his losses would be compensated 10 times, Flame Emperor was in a good mood. He glanced ahead, then suddenly stopped in his tracks. Are we going to the Heavenly Court? Not far ahead was the South Heaven Gate. There was no doubt about it. Of course, aren't you looking for the dragon vein? Are you going to the underworld instead of the Heavenly Court? Yi Zichen asked. Doesn't that mean the Jade Emperor was the one who captured the dragon vein? That's your own wild imagination, not mine. I came here to investigate. I'm not sure if the ley line is in the Jade Emperor's hands. Still pretending. The Flame Emperor had lived for so long that he had become a spirit. Although Yi Zichen didn't admit that the ley line was there, what he was trying to say was that the ley line was there. However, he could not understand why the Jade Emperor wanted to steal the dragon vein. There was one more thing that he couldn't figure out. Since the dragon vein was in the Heavenly Court, then the immortal domain should also be able to sense it. Don't even think about it. You definitely won't be able to figure it out with your intelligence. Yi Zichen patted Flame Emperor's shoulder, then strode towards the South Heaven Gate. Who are you? This is the South Heaven Gate. Unauthorized personnel, please stop. The guards at the gate looked at Yi Zichen and Flame Emperor cautiously. Ziziz, you're new, right? You don't even know me. I'm Sky Sovereign Nameless, the chief steward of the Heavenly Court's inner cabinet. Hurry up and go to the side. I have business with your Jade Emperor. Yizichin waved his hand at the two guards, then walked in. Before he could take more than a few steps, the guard stopped him again. But idealism! Yes. Yizichin puffed out his chest. Then I'm sorry. You are on the Heavenly Court's blacklist. The Jade Emperor has decreed that you cannot enter, the guard replied seriously. This old geezer. Yizichin couldn't help but shake his head. He really did take precautions. But isn't that the same as giving himself away? What should I do? Flame Emperor could also tell that the ley line was definitely on the Jade Emperor's side. Otherwise, why else would he randomly blacklist Yizichin? What are you panicking for? Yizichin gave Flame Emperor a look to tell him not to panic, then smiled towards the guards. Then I won't go in. It's fine for me to stay here, right? The guards frowned. It seems like the Jade Emperor didn't say that I can't stay here. Sure. Alright, then go do what you need to do. The heavenly soldiers obviously didn't dare to do what they needed to. They had to keep a close eye on the Jade Emperor's blacklist. They wouldn't be able to take responsibility if Yizichin sneaked in right under their noses. Yizichin wasn't annoyed by being watched. He merely took out his phone. Everyone, this sovereign has arrived at the South Heaven Gate. Is there anyone willing to come and receive this sovereign? Canopy Marshal. Sky Sovereign came to the Heavenly Court? Old Pig, I'll be there immediately. God of Thunder, I'll be there immediately too. Erling Shin, Admin Bro, why didn't you tell me earlier? I'll come and get you immediately. Neza, me too, me too. More than half of the deities in the group wanted to come and get him. Yizichin didn't want to cause too much panic, so he chose a few deities that he was familiar with. As for the others, he said that he would visit them one by one. Done. Done? Flame Emperor was confused. You'll find out later. Before he finished his sentence, a muscular figure appeared at the southern heavenly gate. When Yizichin took a closer look, he saw that it was the Canopy Marshal who had spoken up first. Marshal. All of the heavenly soldiers guarding the South Heaven Gate bowed when they saw the Canopy Marshal. Canopy Marshal nodded, then walked out of the South Heaven Gate and arrived in front of Yizichin. Sky Sovereign. You came pretty quickly, Yizichin smiled. Then, Canopy Marshal continued, don't just look at how fat Old Pig is, Old Pig isn't slow. I saw that skinny monkey God of Thunder on my way here. He was talking to his subordinates, and immediately panicked when he saw me. He should be here soon. Why do I hear people talking bad about me from so far away? God of Thunder flapped his wings and flew over. The heavenly soldiers quickly greeted him in shock. I thought you had to arrange an hour, Canopy Marshal retorted. I can't be bothered with you. God of Thunder twitched his mouth, then greeted Yizichin. Sky Sovereign. Yizichin pursed his lips and nodded with a smile. Bro, I'm here. Yang Jian also flew over. Neza, God of Fortune, Yu Lao and Old Lord Taishang followed him. It could be said that pretty much everyone who was close to Yizichin had come. They did come, but the heavenly soldiers were shocked. They're all high-level deities. Chapter 731. Didn't I still get in? Great deities. The heavenly soldiers guarding the South Heaven's Gate didn't know how to address them. There were way too many great deities. If they greeted them one by one, then it might cause them to be displeased. I might as well just call them great deities. With someone taking the lead, the other heavenly soldiers followed suit and respectfully called them great deities. The deities all nodded, then walked out of the South Heaven's Gate and walked over to Yizichin warmly. Sky Sovereign. That caused the heavenly soldiers of the South Heaven's Gate to be completely dumbfounded. Sky Sovereign. These are all high-ranking deities in the heavenly court. Just what sort of existence is someone that they have to call Sky Sovereign? They looked over. Fine, it's Yizichin, who they rejected. Didn't the Jade Emperor blacklist him? Why are these deities still so friendly? Did they not receive the news? This is a blacklist. Aren't they afraid of the Jade Emperor taking his anger out on them? The heavenly soldiers thought to themselves. They're all here. Z's, why did Old Lord come as well? Yi Zichen shook his head with a smile. Old Lord Taishang smiled. Since Sky Sovereign came to the heavenly court, this old man has to be the host, right? Logically speaking, the two of them had clashed quite a bit in the past. Neither of them were willing to give in to the other. However, after so much time had passed, their friendship had improved tremendously. Yi Zichen thought that they were old friends. You old geezer. Yi Zichen smiled helplessly, then pulled Flame Emperor over and introduced him. This is Flame Emperor, one of the 5 primordial emperors of the immortal region. He's also my good friend. Flame Emperor, we're all old acquaintances. Yang Jian smiled brightly. Yang Jian laughed heartily. Thunder God and the others could not help but nod in agreement. They had interacted with each other when they were fighting against the demons. All right, let's stop crowding around here. Hurry up and invite Sky Sovereign inside. What's the point of standing outside the South Heaven's Gate? Yu Lao said with a smile. Yang Jian nodded his head vigorously. Yang Jian nodded. Let's go, bro. Thus, Yi Zichen slowly approached the South Heaven's Gate. The guards broke out in a cold sweat. This was the blacklist that the Jade Emperor had excluded. If they let him in, they would have committed a huge crime. But what troubled them was that these great immortals were not to be trifled with. The heavenly soldiers of the South Heaven's Gate didn't dare to make a sound. When they saw Yi Zichen step into the South Heaven's Gate, the captain of the guards braced himself and walked out, then reached out to stop them. Yang Jian frowned. As the number 1 war god of the heavenly court and the number 1 general of the heavenly court, no one had ever dared to stop him at the southern heavenly gate. Seeing his furrowed brows, the captain's heart turned cold as he stretched out his hand. What on earth was he doing? He actually stretched out his hand to stop true Lord Erlang. The other great deities also frowned slightly, but Yu Lao and Old Lord Taishang were both civil officials. The area that the heavenly soldiers were defending was not under their jurisdiction, so they could only wait for Yang Jian and the others to handle it. Are you trying to stop me? Although Yang Jian's tone was calm, it was still extremely oppressive for the heavenly soldiers, who had never seen so many great immortals before. True Lord, the Jade Emperor has ordered that this friend beside you is not allowed to take even half a step into the South Heaven's Gate. The heavenly soldier clenched his teeth and said. The heavenly soldier gritted his teeth and said this. After he said this, he felt a lot more relaxed. Yeah, the Jade Emperor told them to stop Yi Zichen. I'm just following orders. The Jade Emperor said that my brother isn't allowed to enter the South Heaven's Gate. Yi Zichen's identity in the group was that of the Heavenly Court's Grand Administrator. It could be said that he was the number 1 person by the Jade Emperor's side. He was below 1 immortal, but above 10,000. The heavenly soldiers of the South Heaven's Gate actually said that the Jade Emperor didn't allow Yi Zichen to enter. That was complete nonsense. Brat, you can eat pills as you wish, but you can't say things as you wish, Old Lord Taishang said. Sky Sovereign is the Grand Administrator of the Heavenly Court's Grand Administrator. How could he not allow him to enter the South Heaven's Gate? Yu Lao added. Jing Qian, come over. Just then, Thunder God waved his hand at the heavenly soldier captain. The leader of the heavenly soldiers swallowed his saliva and walked over, only to see Thunder God slap him on the head. Little brat, you've got guts, haven't you? I just promoted you 2 days ago, and now you're blocking the way of an Empyrean? I don't think you should be the captain anymore. Little Six, from today onwards, you will be the captain of this team. Boss, the leader of the heavenly soldiers, also became listless. It was much harder to be promoted in the heavenly court than in reality. The people here were all immortal. He didn't know how long he had endured to become the captain. If you don't want to be dismissed, what should you do? Let the celestial sovereign in. The leader of the heavenly soldiers gritted his teeth. The surrounding heavenly soldiers made way for him. Only then did Thunder God nod his head in satisfaction. All right, then I'll let you continue. Chief, then just now, Little Six couldn't help but come up to him. He seemed to have heard that he was going to be the captain when he was slacking off. But now, it seemed like, he couldn't do it anymore? I'll let you be the vice-captain. Understood. Little Six saluted excitedly. A vice-captain is an official as well. I've only been in the heavenly court for 100 years, yet I'm already a vice-captain. There are some who are still normal heavenly soldiers even after 1,000 years. Then, he set his gaze upon Yizichin. It seems like it was all thanks to this lord that I was able to become the vice-captain and almost become the captain. I have to thank this lord properly in the future, Little Six thought to himself. Old lord, the brothers guarding the South Heaven's Gate have worked hard. Give them some pills that can increase their cultivation. The South Heaven's Gate is the first line of defense of the heavenly court, so the brothers must be stronger, Yizichin suddenly said to Old Lord Taishang. Yizichin suddenly said to Old Lord Taishang. Old Lord Taishang immediately took out a porcelain bottle from his pocket. This familiar feeling, great recovery pill. Say, do you have any shame? Yizichin couldn't help but retort before he even sent it out. You can even take out this crappy pill? Give me something good. Old Lord Taishang glared at him, then unwillingly took out an exquisite jade bottle from his pocket. Here, share it with you guys. Yizichin could tell from Old Lord Taishang's pained expression that the pill was very valuable. Thank you, Old Lord. Thank you, Sky Sovereign. The surrounding heavenly soldiers continuously thanked him. Old Lord Taishang clenched his teeth in anger and thought about how he had to get back at Yizichin for his losses. On the other hand, Yizichin nodded with a smile. Everyone, guard the South Heaven's Gate properly. Don't let the blacklisted people in? But can I go in now? Sky Sovereign, please. The heavenly soldiers of the South Heaven's Gate obviously didn't remember the Jade Emperor's orders. They were completely convinced by Yizichin's gentle tactics. If it wasn't because they were heavenly soldiers, they would have already called Yizichin their boss. Chapter 732. The Jade Emperor's Thoughts Soaring Heaven King Palace. Not a single person could be seen in front of the majestic hall. There was only a towering figure standing in front of the hall. His expression was filled with faint boredom. Mighty Miracle God. Yizichin greeted him with a smile. Yizichin could be considered to be an old acquaintance, and he was quite active in the group. He'd wanted to visit Yizichin at the South Heaven's Gate, but since Yizichin had to guard the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches, he could only give up. Why are you all here? This is a celestial? They did communicate a lot in the group, but this was the first time they met in person. The mighty Miracle God bent down and raised his eyebrows at Yizichin, who only reached his waist. You're much older than I imagined, Yizichin smiled. You really are a heavenly sovereign, but you are much smaller than I imagined. The mighty Miracle God scratched his head and laughed foolishly. Do you think everyone is like you who took hormones? Yang Jian couldn't help but complain, and the people around him couldn't help but laugh. This group of immortals had a very harmonious relationship in private, so there was no harm in joking around. Hey, I'm big because I eat well. Alright, what are you guys doing here? If you guys are looking for the Jade Emperor, then I can only say that you guys came at the wrong time, said the mighty Miracle God. Really? Yizichin smiled playfully. Yes, the Jade Emperor asked me to stand guard outside. He said that if anyone comes to visit, they should come back in a few days, the mighty Miracle God replied. What a pity, what a pity. I won't go in then. Yizichin did not insist, but Flame Emperor, who was beside him, revealed an anxious expression. Why are you panicking? We can't escape. Yizichin gave him a reassuring look, then turned to the mighty Miracle God. If you can go in and report, then tell the Jade Emperor that I, Yizichin, have come to the heavenly court. I really want to see him. Of course, I might be able to help him solve the problem that he hasn't been able to solve. If he has made up his mind, he can come find me at the true monarch's residence. With that, Yi Zichen stopped insisting and turned around with a calm smile. Yang Jian, I'll stay at your place for the time being. I wonder if it's okay. Look at what you're saying. I couldn't have asked for more. If there's anything inconvenient, you can rest assured and live here. Yang Jian said. Then I'll be troubling you. What bother? Brothers, come to my place. Let's have a good gathering today. Yi Zichen came to find you. In a secret room within the soaring Heaven King Palace, a man in a purple robe with a face as fair as jade could not help but speak. I know. The golden-robed Jade Emperor said. At that moment, he was no longer as solemn as before. His hair was as messy as straw, and his eyes were dark and sunken. His soulless eyes stared at the dim light in front of him. His mouth was slightly agape as if he had lost his mind. We've also studied it for half a month, but you should have also seen that this dragon vein has not displayed any of its effects at all. The purple-robed man spoke again. The Jade Emperor took a deep breath and leaned against the bench. Tianqi, that's strange. It was still fine in the immortal region. Why is it that after I captured it, this dragon vein is no longer usable? Then who do you want to ask? The purple-robed man spoke with a frown. This person was the great sacred emperor equaling heaven's true body. He had received news from the Jade Emperor a few days ago that he had captured the dragon vein, which was why he had rushed over. However, ever since the dragon vein reached the heavenly court, it had lost its effects, and he could not sense any ripples of spiritual energy from it at all. This truly worried the Jade Emperor. He had paid a huge price for this step. In terms of understanding of the dragon vein, the Yellow Emperor from back then is still better. Otherwise, he wouldn't have hidden the dragon vein back then. We haven't found any clues for 10,000 years. I think that if you really can't do it, then just return the dragon vein to him. Are you in such a hurry to break through? Why wouldn't I be? The Jade Emperor suddenly stood up from his chair. His deep-set eyes were filled with boundless unwillingness as he spoke. I should have ascended to the god realm a long time ago, but the Yellow Emperor hid the dragon vein and made me wait for 10,000 years. Do you know what 10,000 years means? Perhaps for cultivators, 10,000 years is just the blink of an eye. However, I've already reached a critical point. The laws are constantly rejecting me, so I can't cultivate. I can only live like this for 10,000 years. 10,000 years, can you understand how I feel? The great sacred emperor equaling heaven fell silent. In terms of cultivation, the Jade Emperor was indeed the strongest among the leaders of the three realms back then. He could not endure the pain of being rejected by the laws and unable to cultivate. Since he had never experienced it, he had no right to comment on what the Jade Emperor had done. No matter what, I will ascend as fast as I can. Knock knock. The door to the secret room was suddenly knocked. The Jade Emperor suppressed his anger and said in a low voice, "Who is it?" "Jade Emperor, Sky Sovereign Yi has come to the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches," said the mighty miracle god outside the door. "I understand. He also told me to leave you a message." Sky Sovereign said that he really wants to see you. Perhaps he can help you solve the problem you've been unable to solve. If you've made up your mind, go see him at the True Lord's residence. The Jade Emperor in the secret chamber fell silent. In the end, he still found out. He knew very well that he could not hide it for too long, but he did not gain anything from the ley line at all, so he was unwilling to accept it. "I understand. Then this subordinate will take his leave." As the footsteps outside the secret room grew further and further away, the great sacred emperor equaling heaven couldn't help but speak up. "If it really doesn't work, then return the ley line to Yi Zichen. He also said that he can help you solve the problem you can't solve. It is clear that he already knows that the ley line is with you, and that the ley line in your hands has lost its use. So what? Why don't we sit down and talk about it? I believe that Yi Zichen isn't an unreasonable person. As long as you tell him your problem, he will help you. Help me? The Jade Emperor couldn't help but snicker. If he really wanted to help me, then he should have hidden the ley line a bit later. I would have been able to ascend 3 days later. If it wasn't for him, would I have stayed here for so long? Helping me? He's really good at helping me. You! I don't know what to say. The great sacred emperor equaling heaven couldn't help but let out a long sigh as he looked at the furious Jade Emperor. Then what can you do now? It's been half a month, and you still haven't figured it out? Are you going to keep thinking like this? Or do you think he'll keep waiting for you to think like this? That's right. Half a month had passed, and he still couldn't figure out the reason no matter how hard he tried. What's the point of persisting? What's more, the person in question is already here. Is he really going to let me continue researching? Chapter 733. The Jade Emperor arrives. It's been a long time since we had so many guests. Please don't take offense if there are any delays. The third princess of the West Sea brought over a few plates of food. The deities couldn't help but smile. Sister-in-law, don't bother. We're not outsiders. If it was a few years ago, the deities might not have been so familiar with each other. Due to Yi Zichen's appearance, the deities who were only acquaintances instantly became a small group. The third princess also left with a smile. At that moment, Yang Jian mentioned the wine ahem. Or rather, Erguotu. Bro, it's not easy for you to come to the heavenly court. True Lord, you're right. Sky Sovereign often chats with us in the group, but he rarely comes to the heavenly court. It's not that easy for us deities to descend, so we have to drink. All the deities around the table raised their cup. Only the Flame Emperor looked at Yi Zichen in confusion. Just what did my old friend experience in the past few reincarnations for him to be so familiar with the deities of the heavenly court? Although he was confused, he didn't want to ruin the atmosphere, so he also raised his cup. Then one of us? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows with a smile. Cheers, cheers! The immortals all chimed in. Yi Zichen didn't waste any time and downed his cup of wine. After 3 rounds of drinking, regardless of whether it was red, white, beer, or yellow, the deities drank all of it. If this was the modern realm, even someone with a high tolerance for alcohol would be knocked out. However, the deities were all drinking right now. Even though there were empty bottles all around them, they did not seem drunk at all. There was a time for pleasantries, and the table couldn't be empty without a topic to talk about. Naturally, all the immortals started talking about the Jade Emperor. It's weird, the Jade Emperor really hasn't been able to keep an eye on him recently, God of Thunder muttered. They were generals under the Jade Emperor. Although they could make the decisions regarding the Heavenly Court's defense, they were usually the ones who relayed the Jade Emperor's orders. However, they couldn't see the Jade Emperor at all, so they could only make the decisions themselves. Old Lord, do you have any insider information? Yu Lao squinted his eyes and smiled. There really isn't any inside information. Old Lord Taishang stretched his back. Recently, that brat, the Jade Emperor, hasn't gone to look for me either. As one of the 3 pure ones, you don't even know? Yang Jian was shocked. Then you're still relatives, aren't you still clueless? Old Lord Taishang retorted. The atmosphere suddenly changed. All the immortals at the table held their wine cups, pondering something. This was too strange. The Jade Emperor had not appeared for half a month. Although he was muddle-headed and tyrannical, he had never missed any morning court assembly in the Soaring Heaven King Palace. It had only been half a month, and his subordinates could still make up their mind. But if it dragged on, there would be some problems that they couldn't handle. Yi Zichen chuckled. The other deities looked towards him, then raised their eyebrows. What's going on? Why are you laughing, Sky Sovereign? Did I smile just now? Yi Zichen looked at them in shock. He was merely imagining the Jade Emperor's current appearance. He didn't expect him to actually laugh. You didn't? The deities stared at each other. Yi Zichen couldn't help but shake his head. Fine, I did smile. But aren't you guys being too nosy? Can't I smile? The other deities shook their heads with a smile when they saw Yi Zichen's glare. His interruption seemed to have changed the topic, and none of the deities mentioned anything about the Jade Emperor. Yi Zichen's interruption seemed to have changed the topic, and none of the deities mentioned anything about the Jade Emperor. They drank for a full 6 hours, and the immortals at the table took advantage of the situation to play fight the landlord. As for the other deities, they just stood at the back and laughed as if they were spectators. At that very moment, a magic cloud silently flew across the sky. Both Yang Jian and old Lord Taishang's eyes were bloodshot, but they didn't have the time to care about the magic cloud. On the other hand, Yi Zichen smirked, but he pretended like he didn't know anything and continued to play his cards. King Bomb. Seeing that Yi Zichen was about to run out of cards, Yang Jian immediately threw out a king bomb. The other deities couldn't help but shake their heads. He's definitely going to lose. Ahem. A cough sounded out in the crowd. The deities were all looking at their cards, so they didn't have the time to care about that cough. Ahem. Yi Zichen and company weren't playing to win money, they were playing to stick stickers on their faces. At that moment, Yang Jian's face was practically covered in stickers, and he was extremely angry. He instantly exploded when he heard someone cough. If anyone has a cold, go and get some medicine. Why are you coughing here? The other deities all looked behind them a gulp. Isn't the person standing behind us our big brother Jade Emperor? Greetings, Jade Emperor. All the deities quickly bowed. The Jade Emperor's expression was not very good for the past few days. Now that he was scolded by Yang Jian again, his face was as dark as Lord Bao's. Aha! Yi Zichen nodded, causing all the deities to shudder. It seems like our boss is angry. Yang Jian, who was about to play his cards, also trembled. He gripped the cards in his hand for a long time, but didn't throw them down. It was as if he froze. After a long time, he carefully turned his head and glanced behind him. He waved his sleeves. He bent his knees, lowered his head. Everything was done in one go. Greetings, Jade Emperor. The Jade Emperor walked out with a faint smile. He squinted his eyes at Yang Jian, who didn't dare to look at him, and snorted, True Lord, thank you for your concern. Thank you for your concern, true monarch. It seems that I really should go back and take some medicine. That's what this subordinate should do. The Jade Emperor's face turned green when he saw that Yang Jian really dared to reply. I really don't know if he's a retard, or if he's intentionally insulting me. The Jade Emperor took a deep breath. He understood the purpose of his trip very well. He ignored Yang Jian, who was kneeling on the ground, and directly sat down on Yang Jian's seat and stared straight at Yi Zichen. Jade Emperor wants to play a few rounds as well? Yi Zichen. Aha, I'm here. Yi Zichen, who was shuffling the cards, nodded with a smile. Don't play dumb in front of me. You should know why I'm here, said Yi Zichen. You can't hold it in anymore? I thought you could at least hold it in for half a month. Thus, Yi Zichen also threw his cards onto the table. The surrounding deities were completely confused when they heard their conversation. What are they talking about? Why are they acting so mysterious? Don't joke around with this one. This one doesn't have time to mess around with you. The Jade Emperor, who was sitting on the chair, suddenly released a powerful spiritual pressure, causing all the other deities to freeze in fear. It had been a long time since they saw such a powerful Jade Emperor. For the past 10,000 years, the Jade Emperor's image had always been one of incompetence. As time passed, they even forgot that the Jade Emperor was the #1 expert of the 3 realms. Chapter 734. Chapter 734. An Unknown Phone, Brother Yi. A purple-robed man with skin as smooth as jade walked out from the crowd with a hurried smile. When the surrounding deities saw that, Greetings, great sacred emperor equaling heavens. Wow. Although the surrounding immortals were greeting him, Their hearts were in turmoil. The mysterious lord of the underworld has actually appeared, and appeared in the heavenly court in his true form. Didn't the rumors say that the Jade Emperor and the Great Sacred Emperor don't get along? But from Sky Sovereign's words, it seems like they've made up? Z's, it's fine if the Jade Emperor doesn't know any better, but why are you getting involved with him? He insisted on finding me, so I had no choice but to come. Great Sacred Emperor equaling heavens smiled wryly. Who are you calling ignorant? Say that again if you dare. Jade Emperor pointed at Yi Zichen, then cursed at the Great Sacred Emperor equaling heavens. What do you mean I insisted on finding you, so you had no choice but to come? You could have just not come. It's not like I'm holding a knife to your neck and forcing you not to come. Seeing this, the surrounding immortals silently retreated, thinking to themselves. Before they left, Yu Lao also pulled Yang Jian, who was still kneeling on the ground. How much longer do you want to kneel here? Hurry up and leave. Jade Emperor, aren't you? Hurry up and ck off. The Jade Emperor chased Yang Jian away like a fly. Only Yi Zichen and company were left in the courtyard. The Jade Emperor glanced at the Flame Emperor. He came with you? How can I not come? Who knows if the Jade Emperor will kill me in a fit of anger? I'm just taking precautions, Yi Futian said. I'm just taking precautions, Yi Zichen shrugged with a playful look. Hearing that, the Jade Emperor's expression drastically changed. Then, Yi Zichen also took a step back. You don't really think that? Ahem. The Jade Emperor coughed. To be honest, he really did think that. Of course, he didn't think about killing Yi Zichen. He only thought about capturing Yi Zichen to interrogate him about the ley line. He would naturally let Yi Zichen go after he breaks through. But now, with the Great Sacred Emperor equaling heaven's relationship with the Yellow Emperor, there was no way the Great Sacred Emperor equaling heavens would allow me to capture Yi Zichen. Now that there was still Flame Emperor, he didn't have the confidence to deal with the two of them. As the middleman, the Great Sacred Emperor equaling heavens saw that the atmosphere wasn't too good, so he stepped out to smooth things over. Let's not talk about this anymore. I believe that you are very clear in your heart. Let's not hide anything here. The dragon vein was indeed on the Jade Emperor's side, but the strange thing was that the dragon vein was useless to him. Previously, you told Mighty Miracle God that you seemed to be able to solve this problem. Why don't we go over and take a look? Hee alright. Since the Great Emperor has said so, of course I will give you face. If it were me, would you not give me face? The Jade Emperor asked. What do you think? Yi Zichen glanced at him. His meaning was obvious. On the way to the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches, Yi Zichen followed behind the Jade Emperor. Who knew what this old fellow was thinking? Perhaps if he walked in front, this old fellow would really take advantage of his unpreparedness to ambush him. To be honest, the Jade Emperor did have such a thought on the way there. However, he didn't expect Yi Zichen to be so smart and keep walking behind him. Seeing that there was no chance, the Jade Emperor could only give up. Approximately 10-odd minutes later, they arrived at the secret room of the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches. The dragon vein was casually placed on the table in the secret room. The dragon vein on the table seemed to be dead. Even though the Jade Emperor was no longer suppressing it, it didn't even think about running away. Jade Emperor, if it wasn't because I'm not strong enough, I really want to cripple you right now. Yi Zichen clenched his fist tightly when he saw the dragon vein's state, while a strong pressure radiated from his eyes. Just do what you have to do, the Jade Emperor snorted coldly. At that moment, the Jade Emperor was only thinking about breaking through and ascending. He didn't have the time to care about this harmless threat. Yi Zichen snorted coldly towards the Jade Emperor, then ignored him and walked towards the dragon vein. The dragon vein, as the name suggested, was the meridians of a dragon. It could be said that it didn't have a physical body, but it could still turn into one. At that moment, the dragon vein was in its physical form. However, it seemed to have suffered some sort of damage, causing the meridians on its body to turn dim. "Thank you for your hard work." He gently caressed Long Mai's body with his palm. Long Mai, who had been lying on the table, raised its head. When he saw Yi Zichen, he let out a low, mournful cry. "Be good with me here, no one will hurt you. You can actually communicate with the dragon vein." The Jade Emperor was shocked. He had the ley line in his hands for half a month, but he couldn't communicate with it at all. He had always thought that the dragon vein was a half-dead object that could not communicate with humans. Yi Zichen ignored him. He really didn't expect the Jade Emperor to be so cruel as to torture the ley line to this extent. What he had said just now was definitely not a lie. If he really had enough strength, then he would definitely be able to defeat him. He would definitely make the Jade Emperor pay the price. "I'm talking to you again." The Jade Emperor couldn't help but reach out his hand towards Yi Zichen. In an instant, both Flame Emperor and Great Sacred Emperor equaling heavens stepped forward to stop him. "What do you want?" Flame Emperor frowned. "Let's talk this out," the Great Emperor said. "What are you?" The Jade Emperor frowned and stared at them with bright eyes. "You want to attack me?" Neither of them said anything. "Sure, then I do want to see if you guys have improved after all these years." "Stop." At that moment, Yi Zichen suddenly turned around and roared. He pushed away Flame Emperor, who was blocking his way, and looked at the Jade Emperor with a frown. "If you still want to ascend, then sit there obediently. Otherwise, don't even think about ascending from the 3 realms for the rest of your life." "Are you threatening me?" "What's wrong with that?" Their eyes met. Yi Zichen could feel the sparks between them. After a long while, the Jade Emperor retracted his spiritual energy and sat down obediently. Yi Zichen snorted coldly, then returned to the ley line. The Great Sacred Emperor equaling heavens also followed him over and raised his eyebrows. "How is it?" He could tell from Yi Zichen's expression that the situation was bad. "It's harder to deal with than I thought." Yi Zichen's expression darkened. At that moment, his phone rang. A phone call. Yi Zichen looked at the screen. It was indeed a phone call. I can actually pick up phones in the Heavenly Court? However, the phone number was unknown. Who is it? Yi Zichen answered the call and put it by his ear. "Hello." The person on the other side of the phone breathed heavily. Not long later, a familiar choking voice sounded out. Chapter 735. Yi Zichen shuddered. Yi Zichen's hand that was holding his phone trembled, then his body also started to tremble slightly. Something like that shouldn't have happened with his strength. Only a ripple in his heart. Is it you?" Yi Zichen's choked voice made him feel like someone was choking him. A suffocating feeling started to build up. Perhaps even he didn't know how much anticipation he felt when he said that. "Is it you?" Yi Zichen couldn't help but ask again when the person on the other side of the phone did not reply. "What do you mean it's not you?" "I'm Lu Jing. Where are you right now?" "The Demon Realm's envoy has already confirmed that he's coming. Although I have a plan to deal with him, I don't have enough manpower." Slap. The phone fell from his hand, but his face instantly turned extremely pale. "Isn't it her?" Yi Zichen, who was standing in front of the table, suddenly fell backwards as if he had lost all support. Flame Emperor and the Great Emperor, who had already noticed his strangeness, quickly reached out to support him. "Brother Yi! Impossible, impossible! It's definitely her. I can't hear it wrong. It's definitely her. There's no mistake," Yi Zichen muttered as if he had lost his soul. Yi Zichen muttered as if he had lost his soul. He definitely didn't hear wrongly. The person who spoke to her just now was definitely that person. Only she would use such a gentle tone. Only she. It can't be, it must be her. "Hey, are you listening to me? The Demon Realm's envoy is coming to the 3 realms. I need manpower here." Lu Jing's voice occasionally sounded out from the phone on the floor. Yi Zichen stared blankly at the phone on the floor. After a long while, he let out a long sigh, then shook his head towards Flame Emperor with a smile, before picking up the phone. Sorry, I lost control of my emotions just now. What did you say just now? You're so weird. Never mind, I'll forgive you. I'll tell you again. The Demon Realm's envoy has already been confirmed and is preparing to descend. She's confirmed to be a half-step diviner. I have a way to deal with her, but I don't have enough manpower. Lu Jing tried to be patient and repeated what she said on the other side of the phone. It really isn't her? Yi Zichen smiled wryly as he gripped the phone. Perhaps I missed her so much that I'm hearing things. Hello? Yes. Yi Zichen returned to his senses, then replied. I can't say it clearly over the phone. Come to the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches in the Heavenly Court, we'll talk about it in detail then. You're really troublesome. Lu Jing's reply came out of the phone, but she still said, All right, I'll go to your place to find you now. See you in an hour. The call ended. Yi Zichen, who was still holding the microphone, was unwilling to take it away from his ear. At that moment, he was still repeating the very first sentence in his heart, as well as that familiar voice. A gloomy smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He silently put down the phone and found a place to lean on to sit down. Brother Yi, just now, whether it was the Flame Emperor, the great sacred emperor equaling heaven, or even the Jade Emperor, they were all very suspicious. Just what did Yi Zichen experience to cause him to lose his composure like that? It's nothing. Yi Zichen forced a calm smile, but the words just now echoed in his heart. He shook his head forcefully. He couldn't help but ask himself what was going on. Why was it that just hearing her voice would cause his heart to be affected so intensely? No, it wasn't her, it was just an auditory hallucination. However, he couldn't help but ask himself, was that really an auditory hallucination? Even if it was an auditory hallucination, why did he hear those words? Did he miss her? If it was really her, how could she not want it? Everyone in the secret room looked at Yi Zichen in confusion. This was way too strange. On the other hand, the Jade Emperor was not in the mood to care about Yi Zichen. All he wanted to do was to hurry up and restore the ley line to its original use. All he wanted now was to ascend. Since there's nothing else, let's hurry up and check out the dragon vein. Jade Emperor. The Emperor couldn't help but frown. He could tell that something was on Yi Zichen's mind. Why was Yi Zichen so heartless as to ask him to manage the ley line? All right. Yi Zichen didn't mind too much, so he nodded and walked towards the ley line. A quarter of an hour passed. He did not move at all. It was as if someone had cast a body-fixing spell on him. He just stood there with his arm placed on the dragon vein pattern. Sorry, can you give me some more time? I can't calm down right now. I don't have that much time to waste with you, the Jade Emperor frowned. Even if you don't have time to waste, I'm not in the mood to deal with the ley line either. If you can't wait, then study it yourself. There's one more thing I have to remind you. The God Realm's envoy will come later. I'm waiting for him. With that, Yi Zichen returned to his original position and leaned against the wall. This time, the Jade Emperor was more obedient. His lips twitched when he heard that the God Realm's envoy was coming, but he was unable to say anything. He could not afford to offend the God Realm's envoy. Whether it is or not, we'll find out later, Yi Zichen muttered to himself. Even now, he still suspected that the person who spoke to him at the very beginning was that person. Time ticked by bit. The secret room was so quiet that even the breathing was so clear. Then, a phone suddenly rang. Yi Zichen, who was like an old monk in meditation, quickly picked up the phone and put it by his ear. Hello. He was anticipating that person. Hey, I'm in the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches. Where are you? It was still Lu Jing's voice on the other end of the phone. An indescribable sense of loss emerged in his heart. It was an indescribable disappointment, and one could sense the ups and downs of his emotions from his expression. I'll go pick you up now. Tisk tsk. What's with that tone? Did you fall out of love? Lu Jing couldn't help but try to hide it. Wait for me. At that moment, Yi Zichen was no longer in the mood to joke with her. He merely said that, then hung up and walked out of the secret room. It wasn't her, he must have misheard. When the others saw Yi Zichen walk out, they knew that the God Realm's envoy had arrived, so they hurriedly followed him out. Hee, I'm telling you, he's about to die from sadness. Lu Jing giggled as she sat on the Jade Emperor's chair in the Lingshao King Palace. However, she wasn't alone. There was another person beside her. Why are you teasing him? The person who spoke sounded a little angry. Hey, he's such a womanizer. You don't know, but he already had plenty of girls by his side in the modern realm. He even has new ones here. How can you not make someone like him suffer a bit? I don't care. It's enough as long as he has me in his heart. Even if it's just a little bit, I'm very satisfied. You're truly incorrigible, Lu Jing shrugged helplessly. At that moment, a figure walked out of the side door of the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches. The figure lowered his head, as if he had lost his soul and walked like a walking corpse. You're so slow. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Lu Jing nimbly jumped in front of Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen forced a smile and looked up. However, he saw a pretty figure standing behind her, who was looking at him with tears in her eyes. Chapter 736. Yi Zichen was stunned. Yi Zichen froze. Yi Zichen froze in place as if he had been petrified. At that moment, the only thing in his eyes was the person smiling at him. The moment he saw her, he felt like his heart had been knocked over. His eyes were red and his hands were trembling, expressing the turmoil in his heart. At that moment, Flame Emperor and company also walked out of the secret passage. What, Shu? Lu Jing blinked her mischievous eyes, then placed her finger on her lips to signal them not to speak. At the same time, she also walked to the side and smiled at the two people who were looking at each other. Their eyes met. They could only see each other's shadows in their eyes, as well as the hot tears in each other's eyes. Their tears formed a line, and dripped onto the red carpet of the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches. Is that you? After a long while, Yi Zichen finally asked with a trembling voice. However, he understood just how important those words were to him. He stared closely at the person in front of him. He wanted to see her nod. It was as he wished. The person nodded. How have you been? Yes, how about you? I'm fine too. You might not believe me. I'm still controlling lightning here. Do you see the people behind me? The heads of the immortal region, the heavenly court and the underworld. They all have to listen to me now. Who? Jade Emperor wanted to retort, but when he saw Lu Jing's glare, he immediately swallowed his words back down. I believe you. Just like before, I have never doubted you. Yeah, Yi Zichen nodded with a smile. The people over there didn't bully you, right? No. That's good. Ching is fine. I believe you can take good care of her. I miss you a lot. Me too. Yi Zichen, who was always eloquent, felt very awkward at that moment, as if he didn't know what words to use to greet the person in front of him. Actually, the best choice was to go up and give her a hug, but for some reason, his feet seemed to have frozen, and he was unable to move forward. Not long later, he smiled. The person in front of him also smiled. Both of them had thousands of words hidden in their hearts, and both of them had things they wanted to say to each other. However, their tacit smiles spoke louder than 1,000 words. That's not what I expected. I thought you would go up and give her a hug and tell her how much you missed her. At this moment, Lu Jing appeared at an untimely time. She was like a light bulb, standing between the two of them. She even stood on her tiptoes and straightened her neck as if she wanted to block their gazes. I'm a little annoyed with you. Lu Jing's appearance instantly destroyed the atmosphere. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes at her, only to see her twitch her mouth and shrug in disdain. What can you do to me? Listening to your despondent tone on the phone, Tsk tsk tsk? Say it again. Yi Zichen raised his hand. What, you still want to hit me? I'm telling you, I was the one who brought Big Sister Xiao here. If you dare to hit me, I'll bring her to the God realm so that you won't see her again. Alright, alright, alright. I'll pay my respects to you. Yi Zichen repeatedly bowed towards her. Only then did Lu Jing nod in satisfaction, raise her delicate chin, then skipped over to that person's side. Xiao Yumei. The person that Yi Zichen had always been worried about, the person that made Yi Zichen destroy the demon race at all costs just to save her. But now, at that very moment, she was standing right in front of him. Just like a few years ago, Yi Zichen could still feel the gentleness from her smile. Hey, can you guys stop looking at each other with so much love? I get jealous too, okay? Lu Jing puffed her cheeks angrily. Xiao Yumei looked at her in confusion, then looked at Yi Zichen. She knew quite a few of the women around Yi Zichen, but she wasn't one of them. Big Sister Xiao, you don't know me, right? But I know you. I've known you since I was in the modern realm. I was there when you too. Lu Qing. Yi Zichen purposefully dragged out her name. Lu Jing stuck out her tongue and giggled. It seems like I said the wrong thing. Anyways, we've actually known each other for a long time, Big Sister Xiao. Lu Jing giggled. Lu Qing giggled as she spoke. As her voice faded, her expression instantly turned grave as she spoke. I understand that you guys have a lot of things you want to say after reuniting after such a long time. But before that, I feel like I should talk about my problem, right? Her sudden change in expression shocked everyone. She was just a little lowly just now, and now she really did become a messenger. However, they didn't understand just what caused the messenger to act like that. When is the Demon Realm's messenger arriving? They didn't know, but Yi Zichen did. Xiao Yumei's emotions were messed up just now. However, he also understood that he and Xiao Yumei still had a long time ahead of them, so dealing with the Demon Realm's messenger was more important. Everyone was shocked. Demon Realm's messenger, didn't we defeat the demons? What did the Demon Realm's messenger come for? The Demon Realm's messenger should arrive in 3 days if there are no accidents. But I naturally won't let him come here. Your identity will definitely be exposed if he comes. My plan is to get to where he is in the lower realm in 2 days and kill him. What do you need me to do? Brother 12 has a formation that requires 4 supreme-level experts as the eye of the formation. Once the formation is activated, it will temporarily increase the strength of one of the eye of the formation. However, I don't have anyone I can trust in the God realm. The only ones who can be the eye of the formation are me and Brother 12. As for the other 2, I'll need you to provide them for me, Lu Qing said. Supremes. That was a rather normal existence in the God realm, but this was the lower 3 realms. Supremes meant that they were about to break through to the Divine King level. But it seems like, since I'm a Sky Supreme and Brother 12 is a 9th stage Earth Supreme, the other 2 Eye of the Formation can be half-step Supremes, Lu Qing added. Half-step Supremes. Yi Zichen looked towards the Jade Emperor. The Jade Emperor's face turned green when he sensed the unfriendly gaze. All he wanted was to ascend peacefully and not deal with the Demon Realm's messenger. He looked down to avoid Yi Zichen's gaze, but Yi Zichen had already walked beside him. Jade Emperor, how about you be the eye of the formation? Me? The Jade Emperor raised his eyebrows. I knew it. Of course it won't be for nothing. If you go, I promise that the ley line will recover when you return, and you will be able to break through immediately. Logically speaking, he wanted to refuse. But when he saw the gaze of the messenger, all right, I'll go. But I have a question before I go. Since it's to increase the strength of one eye of the formation, then who will be the main attacker against the Demon Realm's messenger? I have to get to the bottom of this. If I fight the Demon Realm's messenger, what if I lose my life?